shack at. The bottles getting nippy up the crack and we stacking chips, all of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated pub sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced, leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call a truce. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Wednesday, March 8th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. My producer, Jose Bouquet, is on his way. He's actually landed in Miami for the World Baseball Classic. So I'm going to be hosting on my own here without help. And the games aren't going to be listed on the bottom. When the show's over, I will timestamp it and put it in the comments section. And then for tomorrow, we'll have NHL, NCAA, NBA headings. So at least you'll know what sport we're talking about. That's the situation right now. Thank you guys so much for joining us. A good day yesterday, a winning day. I had a lot invested in the card. And so any day in the black is a good day. I think it's the third most money I've had invested in the card in 2023. We went 13-10 plus 2.55 units. We cashed in every sport, 4-2 in NBA plus 1.7 units, 5-4 in NCAA basketball plus 0.6 units, and 4-4 in NHL plus 0.25 units. The two bets on the Ducks were atrocious. You see Zegras score a highlight reel goal. You're like, well, why aren't there more of these? It was bad. But overall, it was a winning day. That's what is most important. There's Kong's Clips in the house. Is in my early, Jimmy. Can't wait 40 more minutes. Respect. I love it. Kong's Clips. We have a big show here. We are going to open with those first two games in college basketball. I'll cap them with you too, with you guys. And then we will move on to NBA. In NBA, we have both Darryl and LJ from H-Town joining us. On their last Wednesday, they went a combined 10-1 plus 9.73 units. 10-1 plus 9.73 units. So they're back in action today once more. Then, so we'll open up with it. So much going on. So we open up with the two college games, the A10 second round St. Bonnie Davidson matchup, then Wake Forest Syracuse ACC tournament second round. Then we go into NHL. 3 games. I've got one bet. We'll break through them quickly. And then we move into NBA and then back to college basketball for the rest of the afternoon action. And we're doing all of the games before 5 p.m. Then we're doing all of the conference finals and the ACC games. So that's the plan for college basketball. Shout out to all you guys. Justin McElvey ready to get to work. Viper NB. And look at Officer of 50. My guy, Robert Cherry. A ton of action all across the board. I will copy and paste that, Robert. Thank you for sharing that with us, my man. A lot of record keeping done yesterday. A lot of work done yesterday. So everybody's record here ready to rock in every single sport. The standouts are, it's been a tough year in NBA. A tough year really for me. But both of our guests, LJ and Darryl, are plus units here on the show. Buoyed off the huge night they had last Wednesday. LJ 45-39, 53.6% plus 3.36 units. ROI plus 4% here on the show. Darryl 40-36, 52.6% plus 2.32 units. ROI plus 3.05% on the show. Cab is close to the black. I know that he's been crushing on Saturdays, but with Peter and I, he's very close. 38-36, 51.4%, down 1.74 units. So he's very close. Very close. Dennis Garcia says Flames aren't dead yet. Not dead. No, I think you're right. Not dead. Not dead. They just did play the Wild 2 games in a row and scored 0 goals. Mike M in the house says Pimp Slap play day catches last night. Ready to do it again. That was spectacular work. There's Dan Kelly in the house. Armchair MMA. Mike M, serious business. Dan Kelly says, Mike M, we got to take JTB, take a ride and meet up for lunch in Rochester one day this spring. Yeah, we should meet up at Finger Lakes. I could do that. I could definitely do that. But I also was talking to the family last night about seeing if we can get to Saratoga this summer. There. And then Mike, I'm saying, yeah, hit the Finger Lakes there. There you go, right there. Slatsy says, good morning, NHL Nutshell. Wild under in first period were so easy, but the Devils and Leafs score 5 in the third period to kill the under. That was disappointing. And it upset me not to take that first period under. We would have got plus money, big plus money on the under 1.5, but I stuck with the full game. It was 0-0 after one. It was very upsetting. Very upsetting that it didn't cash. And then in the end, in NHL, I thought I was seeing things very clearly yesterday. 4-4 plus 0.25 units. So it's a little disappointing. A little Domo ready to get to work. Slatsy says Ducks giving up 41.8 shots per game, looking at shot props for the Canucks. There's subhuman Gaucho. Mike Wilkerson says early lunch money time again. What's it called in the Davidson game? Let's get right to that right now. Quick shout out Sharon Pulliam, Rockstar 82, Von Polo, Mr. Always Profit, Jay Peasy, Parl Angel, Andrew G. Great to see you, Andrew G. Thank you for running with us. Rob Garvey, Imp13, Nasty Nate, Stimmy OG. That was a beautiful bet from both you, BJ, a lot of you guys on the Lakers. Great work. I should have run with you. I wasn't on the other side, but RVD 420, a link ready to go. Isaiah B, Rocco Rogers, Regis Austin is an excellent group here. Bo Jackson, Leonard Porsche Jr. Early bird best bet is Davidson moneyline for BJ. Big bet for him. That's his unit size. But big bet for us, I should say. That's better put. So he's on Davidson moneyline. We're going to get into that game right now. It pops off in 21 minutes. Spenny Penny Bombs in the house as well. And I just missed that saying, are you guys running a March Madness pool? Yes, we are. And so it'll be up and at 'em as soon as probably Sunday night or Monday morning. We'll be talking about it often here leading into it. $50. It'll be right on our website. $50. So it's going to be up here shortly. We're having a meeting here right after the show, and I imagine that it'll all be finished then. Alex Hill's ready to go. Dennis Garcia says, to be fair, it hasn't allowed anyone score for 2 weeks. Yeah, that's fair. No, legit. And look, win's a win. Tay Butta, Billy Friedrich, a diehard MMA podcast, adding Alexander Romanov by submission at plus 250 for UFC Vegas. Von Polo liking Syracuse today. There's Daby Cab ready to get to work. Sean Sullivan. Yeah, so we're doing a March Madness tournament on our website, contest, $50 to enter. And we're only giving out prizes to the top 3. We want huge amounts of money for those 3. So it doesn't matter if we get 150 people in. We're only paying out the top 3. Sean Sullivan says, ready to roll. Wine Time Sports says, let's get this money. Let's do exactly that and get right to work here. We're coming off a decent day in college basketball. At one point, I thought it was going to be a great day in college basketball, but it was a decent day. Georgia Tech, Florida State, first half under 68. Gave that out on the show. That was a very easy casher. Rhode Island was a loss. Louisville, first half was a casher. So Loshak and I both cashed Louisville first half, and the Ron Crawford spreadsheet play of the day on the other side cashed very easily on Boston College. So Merrimack -4 was a loss. They did win the game, but it was a loss. Northern Kentucky, North Cleveland State, first half under 58 was a loss. UNC Wilmington first half was as easy as it gets. Gonzaga St. Mary's first half under 65, very easy. North Dakota State first half was atrocious, but I did cash North Dakota State. Oral Roberts first half under 72.5 to give me a win overall. Winners circle ready to get to work as well. Ryan Mueller, let's go right now. Let's get into college basketball. And then Daby Cab hit his look on Gonzaga first half. A10 championship second round. This one pops off in 19 minutes. St. Bonaventure Bonnies 14-17, 8-10 in the A10. At the Davidson Wildcats 15-15, 8-10 in conference. We're at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Let's start with the line history here in this one. Let's go up here. We have Davidson opening up at -3.5. They went down to -2.5. It's a little surprising. We know that the Bonnies have played in a lot of big games over the last few years, but so was Davidson. It was a little surprising that the market moving towards St. Bonaventure. Let's see what Bet Online has done. The Bonnies finished the year very poorly, and Davidson was the opposite. The same situation, except it never got to 2.5. Instead, it's quite a different situation at Bet Online because they brought it out earlier. The early money went towards Davidson. Davidson opened up -3.5, got up to -4.5. Last night. Since then, it's come all the way back to 3. That 3 is slightly juiced. Totals wise, it's opened up at 134.5 and it's climbed 2 points to 136.5. Ron Crawford in with the NHL spreadsheet play of the day. It is the Red Wings in regulation. A great job yesterday, Ron. So let's get that ready to go for our NHL breakdown here. Sorry, just take me a second. Make sure I've got it locked and loaded here. I took a long look at the Red Wings. Long look. Troy Torrance says, Davidson in better form, taking care of the ball from a turnover standpoint. Pretty damn confident in Davidson first half -2. And Diehard says, how about those Yotes? That was a nice cash yesterday. Davidson says better form and better offense for Davidson. Let's take a look and see if the cash or the big bets are on the over. It would make a lot of sense. It's gone up 2 points. And on St. Bonaventure. Because if it's not, there should be some concern. And here you have 81% of the tickets on Davidson and 66% of the cash. And that would concern me. And this is a lot of bets we have in right now. We have 21,094 bets in. So there's sharp action on St. Bonaventure. And, those of you who are confident in Davidson, you can trust yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with going up against the Sharps. It's, you trust your skill set. And if you're winning and your ROI is positive, why wouldn't you trust your skill set? But that would make me nervous here. And I don't want to go up against you guys. The total has 70% of the tickets and 91% of the cash on the under, and it's gone up 2 points. Coactus liking the Bonnies to cover. The NCAA spreadsheet play today is in. It's on South Carolina. I'm going to grab that here. And there's Wine Time back in the Bonnies and the money line. So we're starting to see some cappers on the other side. So let's just set a quick table here and then decide if we are going to move. And I've got cold feet already. St. Bonaventure closed the season in ugly fashion. They lost 6 of their last 7 games. One of those losses was their lone meeting with Davidson. They lost on the road 74-61 as 6-point dogs. They were last seen on Saturday in an ugly 71-60 loss at UMass as 2-point dogs. And then we saw just how bad UMass was yesterday. I mean, just atrocious. So, look, I can understand from every conceivable angle other than the market why cappers are interested here in fading the Bonnies. Itzhak, the GOAT, is with the Sharps here on St. Bonaventure, as is a Coactus. The Pamper Pop play today is Syracuse money line from Officer of 50. I'm going to copy and paste that. Johnny K looking at that over 5.5 in the Jets game. I came so close to that, Johnny. I came close. But maybe now that I know you're on it, I can have some more confidence. But I did not pull the trigger. Jordy Norman says he's got cold feet too. That's because it's -30 in Edmonton, and that's Celsius. That's even more horrifying than it sounds for the Americans here. Mr. Always Profit is on the Bonnies. Christopher Comentini saying this is easy pass me. There's my guy AEOD in the house. Rocco Rogers looking at Wake Forest first half. We're going to discuss that here in a second. Davidson closed the season with their 4th win in 5 games, 68-54 at Rhode Island on Saturday as 3-point favorites. Look, that doesn't flatter them after Rhode Island's horrific performance as well yesterday. Maybe horrific's a little harsh, but ugly performance. With that all said, I need everything to correlate for me to move on a spot, and it's simply not happening here. I do not trust St. Bonaventure. I don't think that teams can flip a switch. I think you need to be playing well coming into the conference tournament. We'll be talking about that a lot this week. Those of you on Davidson or on St. Bonaventure, I have to stay on the sidelines here. And look, I had 23 bets yesterday across the 3 major sports, and I had 9 in college basketball. So I'm not taking it lightly. I just don't want it. But Mike M with a ton of confidence on Davidson first half, full game. Matt Paulin says this one feels like a tight game. I'm leading under, but the line movement and cash is sketchy. It's all sketchy here. Look, this is a sketchy 11:30 a.m. Eastern start, man, and I love it. In saying that, I'm not going to bet it. We can talk about a look possibly in game, and I'll focus on you guys for the insights because you'll be watching it. So let's move on to the next spot on the board. And this one pops off at 12 p.m. I'd like to have some early action here. ACC tournament second round. Wake Forest Demon Deacons 18-13, 10-10 in conference. At the Syracuse Orange 17-14, 10-10 in conference as well. We're in Greensboro, North Carolina for this. By the way, Shogun Soup will close us with that. And Coin saying starting to see some buyback on Davidson. But the Shogun saying St. Paul's offense is spray and pray or dish it to Venning down low and hope he can carve out a bucket. Davidson has more fluid offense. And Kong's Clips is moving on St. Bonaventure. Look, I can understand why anybody would want to fade St. Bonaventure right now, but the market is not going to give you any confidence to do that. So no look there for me. Rick J took Davidson -4 and Syracuse +3. Let's move on and roll. Billy Friedrich on Wake Forest -1.5. First half, there's D. Jenkins in the house. Let's talk about this spot here. We'll start with the line history in this one. Let's get over here. The line history. We have Wake Forest opening at -2 and a -2 at Pinnacle and is now -3.5. They got up to -4 at 9:40 this morning. Let's see what BetOnline has done with this on Wake Forest. BetOnline opened this up. Wake -2.5. They got up to 3.5. They're at 3 right now. So not as big of a move. Never got to 4. This total opened up at 157.5 and went all the way down to 152.5. So a big drop there. Coactus and Regis Austin making moves. I'm going to copy and paste all of both of your action. Thank you for sharing that with us here. All right. Okay. I love it, Dan. Let me move this over here so I have your guys' action. All right. So let's talk about the cash flow here in this one. The total has 73% of tickets and 71% of cash on the under. So we've seen a big move towards the under. I think big enough for me to say that I'm too late on that spot. 58% of the tickets and 62% of cash is on Syracuse. If that's the case, why would the market be moving towards Wake Forest? Now, again, we see a little bit of buyback. There's our guy Fap win in the house. And a Swiss Horton ready to go. I love it, Swiss. I love hearing that, man. I love hearing that. I'm going to copy and paste Fap's action here. Move this over and copy this. Okay. Let's discuss this spot. So we have Syracuse is sort of a public dog here. And, I get it. I mean, you're obviously sitting there going, I trust Boeheim in big situations. If you're doing that, I can understand that. Let's break down the spot. Wake Forest closed the season with their second straight loss and fourth in their last 5 games, and it was against Syracuse. 72-63 at Syracuse on Saturday as a pick'em. A lot of things were involved in that game. And there's the Taint play of the day. Taint play of the day matching up with the spreadsheet play of the day. The corner of Taint and spreadsheet. There's my guy Lamont Williams in the house. The corner of Taint and spreadsheet. We will discuss that definitely when we finish off the rest of the college basketball card. Matt Paulin says Syracuse has won their last 7 first halves against non-ranked opponents at neutral site. Syracuse first half +1.5. Let's talk about that game that happened on Saturday. So obviously it was seniors night and Jesse Edwards went to work. He was spectacular. 27 points and 20 boards. He had 8 on offense, 5 steals, 2 blocks. Joe Girard, another senior, had 16 points. Judah Mintz, their freshman, had 17. They had no answer for Jesse Edwards. On the Wake side, Tyree Appleby, who became the first player in ACC history to lead the conference in both points and assists, went for 21 and 8, but nobody else did anything. No one else did a thing, and obviously they succumbed. This was the 2 teams' lone meeting this year. So Syracuse, though, had lost 4 straight before that win over Wake Forest. Mike M says, I think Hughes is in trouble, but the trend that stands out to me is the under in 12 of the last 13 day games, less than 153 points. Wow. Look, I get that. I think I'm a little late here. And Leonard Porsche Taint is plus 7.5. Oh, on FanDuel. Okay, cool. Sorry, I was a little sorry. It was a long night of stats and study here. And that happens. You have a winning day. You need to keep the winning days coming. Troy Torrance says the bigger difference that Wake versus Syracuse matchup was the free throws. Syracuse shot 25, Wake shot 6. You know what? That was beautiful, Dan Bonner. I should have been on that under 1.5 first period. Very, very upsetting that I didn't catch that under 6.5. Very upsetting. I think that we'd be using. The question is, do you want to fade Boeheim? And I guess the answer is, you probably don't in a big game. You probably don't. But I don't care that much that Wake Forest lost that last game of the year, on seniors night in a very tough place to play. I think that Wake Forest is the play here. I do. I do not expect Syracuse to win again. The problem is I fear Boeheim. And if that's the case, then maybe I should just focus on the first half. I was there in person in Chicago in 2016 when Syracuse beat Virginia in the Elite Eight, and then Syracuse moved on to the Final Four. So I have a bias. I also had a parlay that was going to pay $2K, and it had Virginia just to win that last game, and it was going to pay for the trip or whatever. It wasn't that big of a bet. It didn't matter that it didn't go through, but it was going to pay for the trip. So I have that in my head. Troy Torrance says Boeheim has borderline dementia. Look, I get it. He's saying some nonsense things out there. But even people with borderline dementia can lock in. He's not looking for his car in a crowded parking lot. He's coaching a basketball game, something he's done his whole entire life. So, look, I get that. With all that being said, I like Wake Forest early, and I'm concerned about Boeheim's second half. I just feel like he'll be able to alter situations. And Dan Kelly says he's coaching on muscle memory. I'm with you guys. I'm going to go with Wake Forest first half, and I'm going to lock in. I want to take just one last look at the cash flow here once again. 41% tickets, 38% of cash. I'm going to take Wake Forest first half. Can I get that at minus 1.5? Let's just quickly see what I'm going to have to, because I'm going to have to bet it during the show. Move over here. Okay, so I got to be able to get that at 1.5, and I can. Okay, yeah, I'm going to move on Wake Forest first half. Troy Torrance says, I love Q's. They've been one of my favorites, 1-3-1 zone, all that. However, the descent has begun. Yeah, I'm gonna move on Wake Forest first half. Look, I understand that, regardless of what Boeheim is saying to the media over the last few days or over the last couple of years even, I still think that he's able to make adjustments. I still think he's a quality coach. And maybe this is the last hurrah for him. I don't know. Some of us were surprised he came back after his kids left, So, all right. I'm going to move on Wake Forest first half. Those are the first 2 games in college basketball. We're going to have a lot of time to get to the rest of them. There's only 7 games on the NBA card and 3 games on the NHL card. These 3 games won't take too long. Oh, I'm going to take the spread link. I can't, if we talk about a quantity of action, you just, if you're making lots of bets, you can't take minus 145s. If I was saying, look, this is my lone bet of the day, I'm going to put $1,000 on it. Sure, by all means, take the money line then. But for me, I got to keep the VIG down as much as possible. So I'll be on the minus 1.5 at minus 110 on Wake Forest first half. Regis Austin is on that first half under 72.5. Coactus also on Wake Forest. All right, let's move into NHL now. We'll move into NHL, and I will figure out a better way here to show the viewing audience that are watching, after the show, whatever, what games we're at. We're going to have just a category with Jose gone. We're going to have just categories here shortly, but I'll also, as soon as the show's over, I will timestamp the show. That'll be in our comment section. There's Rodney Barton in the house. There's Mally Mal. He's on Davidson's first half, and he leads Q's in the one we just spoke of. All right. Okay, let's roll. Let's roll into NHL. It was disappointing that it wasn't a big day. Panthers -1 at +115 was a push, but the Vegas Florida under 6.5 at +110 was as easy as it gets. And the Florida unders are going to continue. And I'm going to fade Vegas on this road trip. Devils -1 at +119 was a loss. Islanders -1 at -106 was a push. Then Coyotes +115 was a win. The Ducks first period was poor. +175 was a loss. Toronto, New Jersey under 6.5 was a loss, and that was a -110. And that was very upsetting. Buffalo, New York Islanders under 6.5 was very easy. Colorado first period -0.5. Shout out to Slatsy, was very easy at +110. And then the Anaheim team total over 2.5 +115 was a loss. All right, let's get to work here. So it was 4 and 4 plus 0.25 units. Frustrating that it wasn't a great day. There's Lucky Lefty ready to get to work. Let's go in NHL. And I have one bet, and I'm not sure if I'll make any more here. But Ron Crawford has the NHL spreadsheet play of the day on Detroit in regulation. And look, there's Juan Ruiz, Cashman in the house. I know that Detroit's roster is better than Chicago Blackhawks roster. Look, that's an easy thing to say. But should they be this big of a favorite? A team that's lost 6 straight hockey games, a team that has given up now. They let go of Hronek, their best defenseman, who was injured anyways. He was hurt before he was traded, so he wouldn't be available right now anyways. And then Tyler Bertuzzi, a power forward who's going to fit in beautifully with Boston. They open up at -255 at some offshores. They opened up at -210 at Pinnacle. So that was the opposite. Wow. -255 at some offshores is crazy because they opened up at Pinnacle -210. That was yesterday afternoon at 105. They're now -231. I guess if I could have got them at -200 on the money line and +130 on the puck line and turned it into a -130, I would think about it. This total opened up at 6, -108 to the under. There's been a 7-cent move to the under. Imp 13 as Wings, Hawks, first period, both teams to score. Justin McElvey is tailing Red Wings in regulation. Barry Smith says Blackhawks upset of the day. Look, I know that's possible. Cashman 19 says Ottawa's roster is better too, and Chicago smacked them. They did. Johnny K looking at Kubalik props. Bo Jackson says Detroit Red Wings enter tonight's game with a home record of 4-0-0 against Central Division this season. And Jim Atraya says that Chicago, Illinois sums to 50. So we know what Bo Jackson is doing here. For me, though, there's just no way in the world that I could back Detroit at this price. Paul Taylor, the Sailor, says maybe I'm biased, but I like the attitude of this Hawks team, of course. The shutout sets them up for a loss, but might prop bet it. I have Mrazek and Husso in between the pipes. Let me know if that is the case. It looks like I was going to come close. I thought I was going to cash the season point total over with the Wings, but with this late season drop, I don't know if they are. Peter Mrazek for the Blackhawks actually being better than he's been of late. He's improved 8-18-2, 3.74 goals against average, 891 save percentage, no shutouts. Husso 2.93 goals against average, 904 save percentage, 3 shutouts. Chicago 6-4 over their past 10. That's wild that they're doing that this late in the season. 13.3% power play, 76.9% penalty killing. Detroit 3-6-1, 13.5% power play, 78.8% penalty killing. Chicago snapped their 4-game losing streak with that surprise 5-0 win over Ottawa on Monday. Detroit comes in off its 6th straight loss, 3-1 at Philadelphia on Sunday. Look, this is a healthy group. There's just, when I look at this Chicago Blackhawks lineup, I would love to play against them. They're small. They can be pushed around. But they have guys who might be playing AHL, know this is their showcase opportunity. They're playing for jobs. They're playing hard. And there's just no way I could back the Red Wings at this price, even though I do expect them to win here, and I expect Chicago to come back to life. But in saying that, this is a pretty ugly hockey game at Little Caesars, and I want nothing to do with it. Magnus Hellberg expected for the Red Wings. Bo Jackson saying Hellberg 3-0-0 at home. And Barry Smith says, let's get money back on the Blackhawks today. I can't do it. But I will tell you what I did do. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Minnesota Wild 36-21 and 6, 15-11 and 4 on the road at the Winnipeg Jets, 36-25 and 3, 21-10 and 2 at home. I moved on the Winnipeg Jets here. So, maybe I'm trying to catch a falling knife with the Jets, whereas I didn't do that with the Wings. That'd be fair to say. Wild on the second half of a back-to-back. We know when they're vulnerable, and it's when Marc-Andre Fleury's in net. Gustafson's been absolutely spectacular. Fleury's been a problem. 19, 13, and 3, 2.81 goals against average, 905 save percentage, 2 shutouts. Hellebuck is coming back to earth. He was having a Vezina type year. He's not been playing that well of late. He's 27, 19, and 2, 2.62 goals against average, 919 save percentage, 3 shutouts. Let's go into the line history for this one here. Minnesota, Winnipeg, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I did move on the Jets. They opened up at minus 125 at Pinnacle. They're now minus 143. I got in when they were minus 130 on the minus 1 line. From a totals perspective, it opened up at 5.5, minus 103 to the under. So minus 111 to the over. So there has been a tiny move towards the under, and I get it. I mean, it's just nonstop unders here for the Minnesota Wild, and they're playing very good hockey. Daniel Sun says under in that game, Wild Winnipeg should be the play. When is this going to stop? I mean, it takes such composure and when you're playing defensive hockey, you can't let up for 1 second. You can't slip up with a pinch at the wrong time. You just have to be so accountable, consistent, and the Wild keep doing it over and over and over again. They just shut out the Flames in back-to-back games. I know they lost in the shootout. Their penalty killing's at 95%. So now they fly up to Winnipeg after the game on the second half of a back-to-back. This is the team that has one regulation loss over their last 13. Brodin still out of the lineup. Same with Brandon Duhaime, bottom 6 forward. Look, Winnipeg is struggling mightily down the stretch. They come in off their 6th loss in 7 games, 3-2 at home in overtime to the Sharks. I don't know how they did that. Slatty says Hellebuck, who's been terrible, is confirmed. Wild have given up 7 goals in 8 games. Have to ride it again. Dubois, game time decision for the Jets. I have Dubois healthy and good to go from my research, but I now that concerns me a little bit with your game time decision because I have him as healthy and good to go. Mike M says I have Minnesota in 11-2 spot and Jets 0-6 as a favorite, 0-7 on the puck line as a favorite. Matt Paulin says Wild have smacked the Jets in the 2 previous meetings this year. The Jets have so much to play for here, and the Wild are just rolling. And not one person in this chat has said the Winnipeg Jets. Not one person except for me, and the market is moving very quickly towards the Jets. So, however you want to bang this out, attack. Mally Mal says Marc-Andre Fleury's been playing well in his last 3 games. He knows that he's going to be on the bench come playoff time. He knows he's lost the role. He's a guy with a lot of heart and character. He could easily step up here. I'm on the Winnipeg Jets. I took him on the -1 line. I think this is a perfect bounce back opportunity for a Jets team against a Wild team that's been just playing their heart out night in and night out. Look, trends are on the Wild. There's a lot on the Wild, except for me. I'm on the Winnipeg Jets here on the -1 line. I got +122. I got the money line at -130 and the puck line at +180. LJ from Town says Jets have allowed 39 goals in the last 10 games. Well, the best part of this scenario is they're playing the Wild. When was the last time the Wild scored 4 goals? So, look, I get it. There's a lot that goes into capping, and angles and edges and trends are very important. And then, some, want to focus on the eye test and their gut. And we do different things for different sports. I'm on the Winnipeg Jets here. Dedon rolling with me, Rocco Rogers as well, Justin McElvey running with me as well. All right. And then Mike M says, sounds like a Minnesota team total over. This team is just not scoring. But let's move on to 10 p.m. Eastern. Anaheim Ducks 21-34-8, 10-18-6 on the road at the Vancouver Canucks 26-32-5, 13-17-1 at home. Rick Tocchet is changing a lot about what goes on in the Canucks dressing room and on the ice. And there's been more effort played to defensive hockey. I don't know if you guys know this. It's not been a big story because of how bad the team has been this year, but Quinn Hughes was just the fastest defenseman in NHL history to 200 assists. Faster than Bobby Orr to 200 assists. Quinn Hughes. Now, I just wish he was a little bit bigger. Canucks open up minus 218. He's now minus 2. They're now minus 222. When we get to the totals here, open up at 6.5 minus 116 to the over. It's now minus 122 to the over. A 6-cent move to the over. Walk This Way says over Canucks. Oh, Barry Smith on the Jets as well. Love seeing that, Barry. Coin says, like Vancouver here in some fashion, it has first period both teams to score plus 154. And, Christopher Conti says, damn, minus 220. That's just nuts to me. Look, Lucas Dostal is not being good for the Ducks, and I understand he's vulnerable. Thatcher Demko has, a chance to kind of get some momentum going into the summer of training. Been hurt most of the year. He's looked quite good of late, but he's had a bad season, of course, before his hip surgery. Anaheim 4-4-2 over the past 10, 17.2% power play, 71.4% penalty killing. That will affect, hurt against Canucks. 19.4% power play over the past 10 games, but they've been much better this year. Vancouver 5-4-1 over the past 10, 79.3% penalty killing. Anaheim's on the second half of back-to-back after losing 5-2 at Seattle last night. It's their second loss in 3 games. Adam Henrique hurt. It's too bad. They would have traded him at the deadline, and there's teams who would have really could use him. Two-way player like him. They have 2 D-men out, Neuro Vakanainen and Jamie Drysdale out with injury. Obviously, they got rid of Klingberg. They're decimated sort of in the back end. The Canucks come in off their second straight win and third in 4 games, 4-3 in a shootout. I guess it was over Nashville, right? I don't have that in front of me, but they're missing 4 defensemen right now. So the Philip Roenick, does that count? No, maybe he doesn't. There's a Fowlish Hound in the house. Can't wait for us all to be hanging in San Antonio. Shout out to Fowlish Hound. And JT Miller over 2.5 shots on goal for the Canucks. I get that. Renee, what's happening? Thank you for joining us. Lucky Lefty is thinking over 5.5. Travis Dermott, Ethan Bear, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and Philip Roenick out for the Canucks. This is just an absolute shocking line. If I had more, if I was having a better season in NHL, if my bankroll was filthier, I would have to bet the Ducks. I'm not going to. They're atrocious. But the Canucks should not be a minus 160 favorite to any team in the National Hockey League, let alone a minus 220 favorite. So if you're able to, this Canucks team is atrocious. They're so bad. They're so horrific defensively. Now they have one of the toughest players that I've seen in my lifetime on the ice in Rick Tocchet coaching them. So they're playing a tougher brand of hockey. Slatsy says Ducks giving up 41.8 shots per game and on to a back-to-back. Kuzmenko scored a hat trick and 4 points last game versus Ducks. Pedersen's been on fire, toddler shoulders and all. Pedersen's been good, and he's been good shorthanded. And look, you know what Pedersen wants? Pedersen wants to play 30 minutes a game. So he'll be happy playing 30 minutes a game on a losing hockey team. He doesn't want to play 18 minutes a game on a Stanley Cup hockey team. And maybe I that's a little harsh, but that's what I take from his interviews, is that he just wants to be on the ice as much as possible. He wants beautiful stats. He wants to score goals. How much does he care about winning is the question. You never hear him talk about it. At least I don't. So Mally Mal on the over 6.5 minus 125. Nutflush on says, "Wild have to focus on putting pucks in the net." We have a pick 5 from Razor Sharp Picks over at Gulfstream Park. Johnny K looking at McTavish. You guys know how much I love Mason McTavish, but he does irritate me at times, not performing at the level I think he's capable of. We have a pick 5 from Razor Sharp Picks. I'm going to pop it into the chat. Let's review all action and then begin our NBA card. And after we talk about the first game, I'm going to lock in a Wake Forest first half. I haven't bet it yet. It takes me a second to do that, so I'm going to need our first guest to be rolling with me and talking about a game so that I can focus on that. So let's get to work here in NBA. Before that, I'm going to be moving on Wake Forest first half. That opens up. That pops off in 19 minutes in Greensboro. Then in NHL, I'm only on one spot. I'm on the Winnipeg Jets -1 at +122. Ron Crawford is on Detroit in regulation. And Imp 13 is on Wings Hawks first period. Both teams score at +196. And Fowlish Hound says, "Who is the guest?" I will tell you who the guest is. And, I don't even need to do any description whatsoever. This is all I have to do for your first guest. Coming off a 4-1 show plus 2.9 units, please welcome your next guest.
Pub Sports Radio's the crew, that's a fact. We all about bread, making bank accounts fat. Who the hell is that? LJ from the H, I stack green like Boston. Shout out to Nasty Nate from down south, where we ride on slab. 420 highway smoking with that boy Daby Cab. Swing by Dallas with them Cowboy fans so we can smoke out J Money, cause you know that's our mans. Us against the bookies, put money in our pockets. Fly out to Vegas, meet up with Ski Profit. Hit the sports books, we got money to stack. Can't forget them college picks with that boy Connor Mack.
LJ in the house. What is up, my friend? How are you?
How are we doing, Jimmy, this morning? Can you hear me well? We good?
Yeah. Sounds good. Looks good. We're ready to rock, my man. You put on a clinic on our show last Wednesday alongside of our next guest. Very excited to have a 7-game card for us to focus on. Don't need to rush, and we don't need to worry about the quantity of action here. Also, I put in all of your action. The amount of action you had last week was down a little bit. And I know that there was a problem with adding Memphis, which I know you wanted to do. But you had 15 bets 2 shows back. 15 bets. That's a high quantity of action. You had a winning day there. And you had 5 in the last show. I'm interested to see how you handle this. But you're sitting right now 45 and 39 on the show, hitting at 53.6% plus 3.36 units. ROI plus 4%, average line minus 105. You've been great. And it's not easy to succeed when we track every single thing and for honesty and transparency. So impressive work. Let's bring on your next guest. He is coming off a 6-0 plus 6.93 unit performance on this show. Extremely impressive. And he's ready to rock for us right now. Please welcome your next guest from Los Angeles, California.
You ready for this? Here's my analysis. I don't give a fucking shit. I don't give a fucking shit. So yeah, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fucking shit. I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is.
Darryl, baby, what's happening, man? How are you?
Yo, what's good, y'all? What is good, man? It is Wednesday. Happy to be back in this motherfucker, man. Had a good week, and maybe LJ gave me a little mojo there, man. But came off a good sweep on Wednesday, man. As always, man, it's good to be here talking ball with you, Jimmy. Always a pleasure, and LJ, man. We've been chopping it up offline, man. It's been real cool, real cool. So yeah, peace and love to everybody in the chat as well, man. Ready to do it again. Let's go for another sweep, dog.
You guys were combined 10-1 plus 9.73 units last Wednesday. Let's keep it rolling. I'm coming off a 4-2 day in NBA last night. Milwaukee, Orlando over 227 cashed. Shout out to Mike M with the trifecta. I waited for the announcements to drop that total. Didn't need to wait, but I did. Charlotte, New York Knicks under 226 cashed. New York Knicks team total under 117.5 cashed. Houston first quarter plus 2 cashed. I was 4-0, but then Houston team total over 111.5 lost badly, and the Warriors team total under 123.5 lost badly. I don't know why I beat myself up for the Warriors team total under, because the whole idea, the market was moving heavily towards the over, and I liked the Thunder. So my thought was, the Warriors team total under, but I should have just taken the Thunder. It was a mistake.
I'm mad about that Warriors game too. As a matter of fact, I put a parlay, but it's a must-win game, and we know they do terrible on the road, but it's crunch time for some of these teams to kind of, get in a higher bracket or higher, standing, if you will. And they laid an egg, bro. I like the Warriors -2 at the half. I think I saw a comment from Bo Jackson that said, be careful of that first half. And I liked Dallas -4.5 a lot. What happened with that meltdown, bro? That was terrible. Yeah, that line actually closed at -6. So money was really, really coming in on Dallas, man. And then they laid an egg. But 2-2 yesterday for myself, but that Lakers money line gave me just a little bit of profit, man. That was a really good game.
Yeah, and your Lakers plus 4.5 in the money line on last Wednesday's show was a thing of absolute beauty. All right, let's get to work, everybody, and let's get that cash here. That is the primary goal. We open up at 7 p.m. Eastern. Atlanta Hawks 32-33, 14-20 on the road at the Washington Wizards 30-34, 15-15 at home. Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. We've already seen from our guy Mike M. He's on the Wizards first quarter. Atlanta 2-3 over their past 5, playing at the pace of 100.1 possessions a game. Washington 3-2, playing at the pace of 95.9 possessions a game. Let's go into the line history here and the cash flow, and then make some decisions. First off, line history wise, we have pulled this up. Here we go. We have Washington opening up at plus 3.5. They're now plus 4. That's at Pinnacle. Totals wise, they opened up at 234. They're now at 235.5. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. We have 74% of the tickets and 94% of the cash on the Hawks. There's a lot of money on the Hawks with the market not moving or moving a half point. Total wise, 19% of the tickets and 85% of the cash is on the under. And it's gone up 1.5. Very confusing market analysis there. Wizards are in 10th place in the East. Final spot in the play-in. Hawks are number 8. They're ahead of Washington by 1 game. Hawks coming off their second straight loss, 130-128. The Heat on Monday. They've lost 3 of 4. One of those games was a 119-116 loss at home to the Wizards to start this swoon 8 days ago on February 28th. Atlanta's lost 2 in a row, 3-3 since the All-Star break when they fired Nate. Quinn Snyder has come in and he claims he has no concern about the immediate results. Atlanta is a healthy group. There's really no excuse for them not to step up other than they just can't defend. The Wizards are on the second half of a back-to-back after a very underwhelming 119-117 win at Detroit last night, snapped a 2-game losing streak. That bothered me as well. I went over the back-to-backs with you guys yesterday for Detroit and how excellent they are. And every back-to-back, their numbers are out incredible. If you backed them on every back-to-back, you'd be way, way up. And yet I still did not. At least I didn't move on the Wizards. Beal went for 32, 14-21 from the field. I just feel like he's heating up. Kristaps Porzingis missed the game with Atlanta. It didn't matter. They won that game anyways. But he went for 24 points yesterday. Then also one of the interesting things about KP, because I when I think of KP, I think in my head I think little bitch. I can't get that away from that he's soft. But 20 points, 8 boards, and 1 block. Only AD and Embiid are averaging that on the year, and I was surprised that he's in that category. Kuzma, questionable with a knee injury. He hasn't played a back-to-back in over a month, so I don't expect him in the lineup. Monte Morris missed last night game with lower back soreness. It's unclear if he'll be available. All right, let's go around the horn here. Our first spot on the board, Hawks, Wizards. LJ, we'll start with you. We'll go back and forth to who starts off. LJ, Hawks, Wizards, take it away.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. The Hawks are favored in this game on the road. That's an eye-opener right there just to start off this game. But I think the fact that the Wizards are injured is probably the reason why this line is a -4 as a road favorite. But Atlanta doesn't play well in this spot, man. They're only 5-8 versus the division, 9-12 on the road versus the East. You just mentioned they've lost 2 in a row, and they're 2-4 in the last 6 road games. So they haven't been performing well. They are 15-9-1 ATS in the last 25 games in the first quarter, averaging 33 points in the last 3. So they have been scoring as well. They are 6-2 straight up in the last 8 versus the Wizards. But the Wizards, in my opinion, have been playing the better ball. They are 7-3 versus this division. They are 10-9 versus the East at home. 5-5 in their last 10, so they're even keel for the most part. But the way I'm going to attack this game is the first quarter. They are 11-3-1 straight up in their last 15 games in the first quarter, averaging around 29-30 points in the last 3 games. They are 4-0 versus the division at home. They're 4-0 in the first quarter versus the division. They're 4-0 to the over first quarter in the division at home. As far as the full game, the over is 4 out of the last 5 games versus Atlanta. And Atlanta is 9-1 to the over as a road favorite, which is hitting at 90%, which is number 1 in the NBA. So my plays, Jimmy, is Wizards first quarter, and I'm going to take the full game over. So whatever number you can get me, good price, I'm very appreciative of you.
I like that. I like the look on the Wizards first quarter and the full game over. I will line shop with you, but let's hear what our man Darryl has to say about this spot. First game for us, Hawks, Wizards. Darryl, take it away, my man.
Yeah, so last game they played, that was the Quinn Snyder debut, right? And we know how good Washington is in the first quarter. Now, the information hasn't been updated since the 1st of March, but they were first in the league in first quarter overs. This one's sitting at 61. So the last game closed at Atlanta minus 7.5, and the total on this was 233. And now you're getting a 236.5, 236 in some places. And you've got that first quarter total going 61. Atlanta, over the last 5, has actually been dominating first quarter scoring. Mm-hmm. They've been putting up over 32 points in the first quarter. Second quarter, they take a little downfall, and then third and fourth quarter, they're back in their 30-point range. What scares me now is just the Wizards having a substantial lower scoring in the first quarter. They go from 29 points to 27 points. And I just think this is a game to where I would fade that first quarter over usual pick. Mm-hmm. This one here, because it's so high and because these teams just recently played where you had Bill put up 37 points, you had Trey put up 31, I think that's the tempo that the Wizards are going to have to, if anything, keep up to win this game. Because for them to have lost last game and they were favored by 7.5, and now they're coming in favored by 4, Quinn is going to have to do at least a little bit of dissecting to get the W here. So I just don't think it's going to be a lot of points right out the gate. Last game, it was 27-27. They were tied at the first quarter. And so seeing the 61 here, it makes me want to go to the under here. It makes me want to go to the under 61 in the first quarter. Not official for me. I will feel really good about this if we get news on Kuzma. So once I know for sure, this will be a play that I'll tweet out to you because I believe that 61 is too high, way too high. And so coming off a back-to-back for the Wizards, you do want to play, but you do also kind of want to preserve that energy throughout the whole game. So you don't want to tire yourself out second half. And so I do believe you could have a game with just, decent pace, maybe have this end at 30-29. But in no way, shape, or form do I think it's going over 61 in the first quarter. Let's wait for Kuzma, and then that's the play I'll jump on.
I like it. A nice breakdown as well. I didn't drop Darryl's record here before he came on, but both our cappers here winning on the show. Darryl 40 and 36, 52.6% plus 2.32 units ROI plus 3.05%, average line minus 104. So we have both our guys handing out winners on this show, which is not an easy thing to do. By the way,
not this year.
Oh, not this year, man.
Not this year.
Simi OG in the house, big on OKC plus 13.5. Going to copy and paste that. Thank you for taking the time to drop in with us, Dimmy. Of course, he did that yesterday with the Lakers. And he's doing that here with OKC. All right, we are in business. Let's move on to game 2. Game 1, we have LJ on first quarter +1, full game over 235.5. And we have Darryl interested in the first quarter under 61. All right, let's move on to the next spot on the board. I did move in on Wake Forest first half -1.5. That's being bet. Let's move on. That pops off in 4 minutes. By the way, Rick Chasing, 2 of the 3 refs in Atlanta Wizards games have winning records for home dogs. Interesting. Next up for us, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Portland Trailblazers 31 and 34, 14 and 19 on the road at the Boston Celtics, 45 and 21, 25 and 9 at home at TD Garden in Boston. Portland 2 and 3 over their past 5, 98.8 possessions a game. And for the first time all year, I will say that Boston is 1 and 4 over their past 5 games, playing at the pace of 96.66 possessions a game. Let's go into the line history here for this one. This one opened up with the Celtics -9.5. They're now -10. I mean, no Celtics team I've been watching lately is going to cover by double digits, but they were doing it nonstop 3 weeks ago. So things have changed. Do they change here? This total opened up at 231. It went down to 230. It's now at 230.5. Take a look at the cash flow for this one. And we have on the total, that's now at 231.5. We have 37% of the tickets, 36% of cash on the under. So we have 63 and 64 on the over, but it's dropped a half point. God, I hate when I have interest in it under. It just makes me so uncomfortable. It was hell watching the Knicks Hornets game. Like I was just certain it was going to go into overtime and I was going to lose. I was so defeatist. It was just it was not enjoyable at all. For the Trailblazers here, 40% of the tickets are on them and 82% of the cash. 82% of cash. So that's all well and good. Why is the market not moving towards them? Portland comes in off its second straight win on this road trip, 110-104 Detroit on Monday. Lillard went for 31, 13, and 12. That's a career high 13 rebounds. And they haven't beaten a team that has a winning record since February 8th. Anthony Simons remains out of the lineup. I heard there's a chance that Nurkic could return from injury tonight. I find it hard to believe that this would be the spot where he returns, like at Boston, but I heard that he's close and that he could return. Mally Mal asking about it as well. Sierra Reyes in the house. I love it. Thank you for joining us. Celtics coming off their Thursday loss, 118-104 in overtime. 118-114. I wrote that wrong. 118-114 in overtime in Cleveland on Monday. No Tatum, no Horford, no Robert Williams. And, of course, they play out of their mind for 3 quarters without them. And we just keep seeing it over and over and over again. Teams covering without their stars. Horford and Tatum are off the injury report. They're going to be back in the lineup. Robert Williams will be out another week. Peyton Pritchard, questionable with a heel injury. And this here is a spot where Boston starts a 6-game road trip after this game. You know, Atlanta, Houston, Minnesota, Portland, Utah, Sacramento. And they're all saying we need to win this game. We have to leave on a positive note starting the road trip. Look, that's all fine that they need to win this game. Yeah, they're going to win this game, sure. But are they going to cover? And how are we going to get paid? We'll start with Darryl this time. Darryl, take it away. Blazers, Celtics.
The loss against the Cavaliers, Boston was up at the half. That game went overtime.
Mm-hmm.
The loss against New York, guess what? Boston was up at the half. They lose in overtime. The game against Brooklyn, guess what? Boston was very, very up at the half. See what happens there. Or that was 55 to
We only have 9 at the half. Remember, they were up 28 in the second quarter. I had the -6, and I was just watching it fall apart. And I was like, just possibly fully fall apart. But
so what does that tell me? That tells me that Boston's going to at least give you first half vibes. And then we just see what happens if they just fall apart. That's what that tells me right off the bat. So when you have the players back in, I would look also at Brogdon points. I would look, if Brogdon's playing, look at his points. He might be on some type of minutes restriction or might be, progressing. But I do like Celtics -6 first half. That number is scary for me, but this team has got to play with some type of tenacity at this point here. You can't lose 3 games in a row, 2 overtime games that you should have had, and you lost those. And you're supposed to be the juggernaut of the East, aside from Milwaukee here. Those are the two top tier teams in the East that everybody is talking about. So you cannot go around losing to Brooklyn, especially with no Kyrie and no KD. You can't go around losing to New York with no Jalen Brunson, right? You can't go around losing to Cleveland. So this is a get-right game, in my opinion. This is a get-right game, in my opinion. I do believe they get it done, but I only trust the first half. So official play for me, I've stepped on that already at the -6. If you could find a better number for the show, maybe 5.5, you could take it. But I like Boston -6. This line is large for a reason. Coming off 3 losses, this line is large for a reason. So I do like Boston. First half only, -6 official play.
I can get you the -6 at -105. If you wanted to bring it down a little bit to 5.5, it would be -116.
Yeah. Let's go to -6.
Darryl, Celtics first half -6, -105. Look, I understand. I understand that that unders have been taking a beating. They're tough in this new day and age here, but the Blazers are playing at a pace 98.8 possessions game. Boston at 96.6. They're both of the games, if you take overtime out of it, have been trending towards unders. You have all this money and all these bets on the over, and it's dropped a half point. I have to bet the under in this game. Unfortunately, I have to, and I can't be scared because the unders haven't been hitting. I'm going to bet the under in this game. So I'm going to move on the under 230.5. LJ, take it away. Blazers, Celtics.
Jimmy, Celtics games. What do I do?
You don't bet them, LJ.
There you go, sir. I do not bet Celtics games, but only if it's live and it's the Knicks, like we did Sunday Night Live when we cashed that money line. But for this game, I have nothing for y'all. But I can tell y'all that Boston is 12-4 straight up in the last 16 first quarter. And like Darryl said, they're 12-6 straight up in the last 18 in the first half. So if you're going to take Boston, take them early. They are 11-1 at home versus the West. I wouldn't trust the spread. So just take them on the money line if you are a Boston fan and you like betting Boston. But as far as me, I'm backwood in this one, my friend.
Yeah, do what's working. And
do what's working. That's right. That's
For real.
right.
Yeah, you've both proven to be winning cappers here on the show. So just do you. We will follow suit. We have Darryl moving on the Darryl moving on the Celtics first half -6, -105. I will be on the under in this one. All right, let's move on. LJ is going to be starting this one off 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Cleveland Cavaliers 41-26, 13-19 on the road at the Miami Heat, 35-31, 21-12 at home. Miami-Dade Arena, Miami, Florida. Both teams 3-2 over their past 5. Cleveland playing at a pace 98.45 possessions a game. Miami playing at a pace of 95.30 possessions a game. Let's take a look at the line history for this one here. So Cleveland opening up -1.5. They're now -2. Total wise opening up at 212. It's now 215. Just to give you guys another idea about why I have to bet this under in the Celtics game is that the two teams over their past 5 are Cavaliers and Heat are playing at 1 possession less over their past 5 games than Portland Boston. Yet the Portland Boston total opened up at 231, and the Miami Heat Cleveland total opened up at 212. Now, you could say that a 212 is way too low. The market did, and it's gone up to 215. But that's pretty insane to me. That's pretty insane.
Would you're not afraid of this game going at potential overtime?
I can't bet totals afraid of overtime. Look, I just can't. It's just going to get in the way. It's just going to get in my way. Look, it blew up in my face in Boston, New York Knicks. It's going to happen, but I can't. I just have to just because it's a close game. Now, what I can do is I can buy off of them if I'm scared with about 7 minutes left. I don't want to do that either. I don't want to cap scared. And look, it's creeping in my head. It's creeping in my head. It would ruin I couldn't watch. I was so I couldn't sit down for the fourth quarter of Knicks Hornets. I couldn't focus. I was just so uncomfortable. And there's Noli saying never take OT into account totals. Thank you. It's just, but I get it. I get it. Okay, so let's talk about this spot here, but let's take a look at the cash flow for it. So here we have 27% of the tickets and 81% of the cash on the Heat. We're talking about 12,177 tickets in. So why on earth has it moved a half point towards the Cavs? Totals wise, 66% of tickets, 76% cash on the over. And look, we've been watching the way the Heat have been playing healthy. They score a lot more points and their bench is rolling. And look, I can, anyone who jumped on that over at 212, I'm not going to take it now at 215, but I commend it. I think it's a good look. Cavs coming off their second straight win, 118-114 overtime at home over the Celtics on Monday. They're a healthy group. Heat coming off their second straight win, 130-128 at home over the Hawks on Monday. 59 points from their bench in that last game. Oladipo 22, Caleb Martin 21, Duncan Robinson 14, and Kevin Love and Kyle Lowry were not there on Monday. Love day-to-day with a rib injury, and Lowry hasn't played since February 2nd. All right, let's move on this one. See what action is being dropped by our cappers. LJ from H-Town, Cavs Heat, floor is yours.
Yeah, I only can look under in this game, Jimmy. Both of these teams, Cavs, they're the number one points allowed on the road. Number one team in the NBA. Points allowed on the road. And the Heat don't score at all. You know, they're at the bottom, especially at home, at points scored. So I have to look at a total, but the Cavs are 7-2 versus this division. So that may be why the money is moving to the Cavs, because they played well versus this division. They are 11-6 ATS and 12-6 straight up in the last 18 games in the first quarter. So they come out and play well, but they're on the road. And I tend to have my money on the Cavs when they're at home. I think they're more comfortable that way. On the road, I think they still have to work out some kinks, you know, to be a good road team in order to be successful in this Eastern Conference. But they are playing Miami, and Miami doesn't do well at home. They are 9-22-2 ATS at home. That is just ferocious to me. I mean, 22 losses against the spread at home, that's crazy. And they're also 21-11-1 first quarter over at home. So these teams come out and jump on them because they only putting up maybe 25 points in the first quarter usually. But these other teams are putting up 30. So they're coming out the gate busting Miami at home in this first quarter. They're only 6-12 ATS in their last 18 in the first half. So I just couldn't come to a side. I want to lean Cleveland. If I had to make a bet, I would take Cleveland in this spot minus the 2.5. But I'm leaning towards the under. But I was going to talk it out, see what you and Darryl say. And by the end of the show, I will make a move on this game. But I just want to talk it out and get the feelers and see what y'all say about it.
Yeah, we have our guy Astute Chaos. He's on the first half over 110.5 and 111. I like the way he does that to give himself a plus number as well. You know, the Heat, I know they don't have Lowry. And look, I don't care that much. They don't have Kevin Lowry.
You shouldn't care.
But they're getting healthier finally. Is it time that they heat up? When are they going to heat up? They need to heat up here, you know, and we have big bets have been placed on the Heat. They're not public, but big bets have been placed on them. But the market moving towards the Cavs. Let's hear what Darryl has to say. Cavs, Heat, Miami-Dade. Take it away.
LJ's look on the under looks pretty solid. Both these times that these teams have played, one team didn't make it to the century mark.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you've got the first game they played, the Heat didn't, or Cavs didn't make it to the century mark. I believe they put up 87 points. And then the second game they played, the Heat didn't make it to the century mark. That was 100-97. Right? So the under seems like the more logical play to here. But honestly, to be honest, man, I'll give you my honest opinion here. I don't give a fucking shit about this game. I don't. The way LJ feels about Boston is really the way I feel about the Heat.
Yeah.
You know, because you just think on paper this team should be so much better than what they are, and they're just not, you know? So when they make that consistent spark, yes, both of these teams are on a 2-game win streak. That they've got that going for them. Atlanta lost to the Heat twice, where it seems like Cleveland beat a more formidable team in Boston. However, I did see a comment. Yeah, you didn't have Horford or Tatum in that game. So for now, I don't want to play this game at all. I don't see any value in it for me to pick a side because I don't know what I'm going to get. Put a gun to my head, I would take Cleveland all day. But for right now, off this game, don't even want to touch it.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned because I'm the same with you. I'm waiting for the Heat to step up. Mm-hmm. I'm waiting for them to be a tough team to play. I'm waiting for Miami-Dade Arena or FTX Arena, whatever the hell we want to call it. I'm waiting for it to be a really tough place to go in and get a W. I'm shocked, you know, that we'd be sitting here at this point in the season with a healthy Heat squad other than Lowry, really, and that they're dogs at home. You know, I'm just shocked. There's Tease in the house. Great to see you, Tease. We are going to be going into college basketball.
What up, brother?
in a little bit. Great to see you.
Tease is a funny guy, man. That's a funny motherfucker.
Yeah, good guy. Good
I like
guy.
Tease. Yeah, he is. He's a good guy.
Trotwam coming off a monster day here on our show. All of our experts are starting to heat up here, which is very helpful, very important. He says, I like Jimmy Butler, points, rebounds, assists over 32.5 today. He says it's hit 6 of the last 9 games. Only issue I have is the Cavs are really good at stopping forwards, grabbing boards. That is true. There's you, Capper, as well. Great to see you. Nutflush Allen in the house.
Wow.
Harold Williams just bet the live under in the weight game at 152.5. Okay.
Got some heavy hitters. Got some heavy hitters in the chat today, man.
For real. I see Rod.
I like all these guys I like.
We got a great group. Let's keep rolling. Next up for us, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Dallas Mavericks 33-32, 12-19 on the road at the Pelicans, 31-34, 20-11 at home with Smoothie King. Dallas 2-3 over their past 5, playing at a pace of 101.5 possessions a game. The Pelicans 1-4, playing at a pace of 97.20 possessions a game. Let's go into the line history here for the Mavs game. We have Dallas opening up as 1-point favorites. This line is not actually moved to 1.5 briefly, but it's back at 1. From a total standpoint, this opened up at 233.5, and it's now at 234. Let's go over to the cash flow here. On the total, 21% of the tickets on the under and 84% of the cash. A lot of money on the under, 21 and 84, and it's gone up a half point. Let's take a look at the spread here. On the spread, 25% of the tickets and 61% of the cash on the Pelicans. Look, that makes a lot of sense to me, but I want to hear you guys break it down. We'll be starting this one with our guy LJ. Dallas on the second half of back-to-back after starting this one with Darryl. Dallas is on the second half of back-to-back after winning 120-116 at home over Utah last night. Kyrie went off in the fourth. Luka finished with 29. They're now 3-5 when they've both been in the lineup. Look, I know that they played the Suns tough, but at what point are they a fade? You know, Pelicans coming off their second straight loss, 123-108 at Sacramento on Monday. JV came back. He was gone for 2 games. The Pelicans have lost 6 of their last 7, 17 of their last 22. I mean, maybe they're just a spot we stay away from. But one thing that's crucial in capping the Pelicans here is they've been on the road for a month, basically. You know, they're 20-11 at home. This will be their second home game in 26 days. Zion, Alvarado, Larry Nance Jr. all remain out for the Pelicans, but maybe they're better than their record of late indicates. Maybe. Mally Mouse says, "Don't overthink this. Pelicans not beating Dallas." I'm going to overthink this. That doesn't mean I'm going to bet it, but I'm certainly going to overthink this. Darryl, take it away here for us. Mavs, Pelicans.
No, man, I don't want to take it away. I do not want to take it away at all because of what Dallas did yesterday. How can we even trust this team to close out a game, let alone a half, after what they showed us yesterday? Right? So for me, when I saw this game, my notes said, "Fuck Luka." That's what my notes said. Because we could try to find some value with this game. Last game, Brandon Ingram put up 26 points. He's juiced at least 25 points at minus 189. Right? Give him another bucket, 27. That's even at minus 143. Right? So the only way I would look at this game is from a props perspective. Yeah, maybe Pelicans is the obvious loser here. But when you have a game fall apart like it did for Dallas yesterday, and you've got maybe 2 of the top 5 guards in the league, what are we doing here? So for me, I wasn't going to put any extra investment or time or thought process into this game because I just don't. Dallas is not good right now. They're not good right now. So maybe there's just a narrative behind this to where maybe Kyrie isn't going to be there. Maybe. I don't know. But for what it's worth, this is a game that I just do not want to invest in at all. So I would only look at props, and that would be on the Pels side. I would only look that way. Mavericks have won the last 2 games. Pels have already beat them once. So this is the final game that they're going to play. Maybe Pels can get something done here. But as far as stats, man, no. For this game, I'm off it. I don't want to play this game at all.
I kind of do. I can understand the issue with the Pelicans, well, not wanting to back the Pelicans after being on the road for so long, but a part of me thinks this might be a little different just because of how long they were away. Like, if you're gone for a 6-game trip, you come back, but these guys have been gone for a month. Maybe they're going to be so thankful to be back on their home floor. Maybe it's a little bit different than the way we usually look at it. But let's hear what LJ has to say. LJ, take it away. Mavs, Pelicans.
Yeah, I'm pretty much feeling the same way Darryl's feeling. My trilogy player of the day didn't come through last night because Dallas missed some opportunities in that first half to cover that 5, because they well had opportunities to do it. But I'm like Darryl, man, it's just something going on with that team. Kyrie and Luka, they don't know which one wants to take over at any time. They're sharing the usage and things. So the only way I can, like you say, props, just keep taking Kyrie points and assists, man. It's been hitting. I think it's hit maybe not once since he's joined Dallas. So I would just keep taking that. Kyrie's points and assists. But other than this game, Jimmy, I mean, Dallas is 8-2 versus the division, but New Orleans is 14-4 at home versus the West. But you just mentioned that they haven't been at home in over a month. So I don't know what to expect with the Pelicans being on their home floor. They're only 3-7 in their last 10, so that is a losing record. They've lost 2 in a row. And Dallas, they have a horrible ATS spread after a win as well. So I just can't trust the side in this game. So I'm just gonna pass. I'm making
an official play right now. I'm going to Brandon Ingram's PRA 35.5 over. That's an official play. Brandon Ingram's PRA, I see that 35 because I think he can put up 30 points tonight. I think he can. If his points are already heavily juiced at 27 at minus 143. And you trying to tell me he can't get 9 or another 9 or another 8 rather, 9 and assists and rebounds? Nah. So let me jump on that. Brandon Ingram over 35.5. I'm making that play now. PRA, I think that's good.
What's the juice on that?
I've got it at minus 129.
Minus 129, 35.5. Is it possible that you could bet the Pels money line right now plus 105, and then either one of Luka or Kyrie will be announced out, and you could turn around and bet the Mavs at plus 2.5 or 3?
It's a possibility.
That's a good strategy there.
Yeah,
that's good. And the way these teams have played, I mean, Mavericks have they just convincingly beat them the last 2 games that they've played. But maybe that's what this number is telling you also.
Well, if I was to bet Pelicans plus 105, it wouldn't be because they were going to announce somebody out. It would be because I think that they can win this game at home. And I do.
Yeah.
I do think they can win this game.
If you think that, yeah. I mean, I do also, but I'm not confident enough to put my money there. Right? Because it's still Dallas with their guards. And it's just, which one do you trust more? Do you trust that the Pelicans won't lay an egg, or do you trust that Dallas Mavericks will just blow a lead again? Like, which one do you trust more?
Dallas doesn't have any defenders. They traded away the defenders for Kyrie.
They did. So, we talked about this.
Yeah, they can't stop scoring. So Pelicans play defense. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Pelicans win this game. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not confident enough to put my money on it.
Yeah. Give me that PRA.
Darryl has moved on BI, points per bounce, assist over 35.5. I'm interested in the Pelicans. Those of you that moved on Davidson first half, good work. They're 31-26. Also, Syracuse up 16-8 right now on Wake Forest. Shogun Soup saying the Spawny is doing exactly what I said in my analysis. Great work. Stephen Harrison said we all seen how the Pelicans played against Sacramento. Again, though, that was the end of a long trip. Joe Yerger saying Alvarado, Grand Theft Alvarado being out could be huge. It hurts them for sure. All right, let's roll on. And tell me you didn't just say that looking at Ingram to score 35 or more at plus 450. Looking for a big score right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That might – let me see that.
That's worth the
35 more?
That's worth the sprint.
Yeah. Holy cow.
And Mike M looking at Dallas first half team total over 60, first half over 119.5. And what's the full game over? Is that 2? because you missed a number there. I'd love to put that
Oh
in.
man, my local only has it at plus 285. Man, that looks good.
All right.
I won't make it official because that would have to be okay. I won't make that official because that would have to be a whole unit play that we're doing here. I might sprinkle something on that. That looks pretty good. Okay.
All right, let's roll on. Next up for us, 9 p.m. Eastern, Chicago Bull, 233.5. Thank you. I'll put that right there, 233.5. All right, let's move on. 9 p.m. Eastern, Chicago Bulls, 29-36, 11-21 on the road at the Denver Nuggets, 46-19, 30-4 at home. We're at Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado, 30-4 at home. Say that again for the Nuggets. Chicago 2-3 over their past 5. Pace coming down to a crawl, 93.3 possessions a game. Still put up 122 at home versus the Pacers on Sunday. Levine going off right now. Says he's as healthy as he's been in a long time. Denver 4-1 over their past 5, playing pace 98.64 possessions a game. Let's take a look at the line movement here on this one. Chicago, Denver. We have Denver opening up -7.5. They're now -8.5. Total wise, it's opened up at 229. It's dropped all the way down to 225.5. A big move to the under. We can expect big bets on that under. Let's see what we got here. Sidewise, 63% of the tickets and 76% of the cash is on the Nuggets, and the market's moving towards them. So that all makes sense. Move over to the total. For the total here, we have 44% of the tickets and 96% of the cash on the under. So, I mean, that's a perfect reason for this total to drop and drop fast. Groovy Cap says, give me the Bulls first quarter. Officer of 50, great job, my man. Excellent work.
That's it.
Groovy Caps. Okay.
That's it. Let me put that up because I didn't even see that. That whoever that is, that's Groovy Cat. Yeah. I say right now, Jimmy, that's my I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is play. That's it. If you want my analysis.
Well,
you want it?
I do. I do want it.
Okay. You ready for this analysis? It's plus money. Are you ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Give me Chicago +3, but I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is.
You ready for this? Here's my analysis. I don't give a fucking shit. I don't give a fucking shit. So yeah, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fucking shit. I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is.
Darryl on the Bulls first quarter. He's going to add to his reasoning for that, but let me just set a quick table. Bulls coming off their second straight loss, 125-122 at home versus Pacers on Sunday. Got 42 from Levine. They're a healthy group. The Nuggets coming off their fourth straight win, 118-113 at home over the Raptors on Monday. They won 8 straight at home, and Michael Porter Jr. probable for the game here against the Bulls. Okay, Darryl, I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is. Play of the day. Bulls.
Yeah, just
I'll line shot for you, but take it away.
Real simple. They're recent body to work. Okay, so just for season perspective, Denver is still the highest scoring first quarter team in the league at 31 points, right? Chicago, just on the season right now, is not too far under them, sitting at 29 points, right? So there goes your number right there, just if you're doing what you're doing for the season. Over these last 3 right now, Chicago Bulls putting up 34 points in the first quarter. 34 points in the first quarter versus Denver, who's putting up 32 points. And this is how I like to cap the games. Whenever I see teams going in different directions here, this is a game that I like here. And this is when you see those numbers going in different directions. Do I think Chicago, who is fully healthy right now, needs to come off a strong game after losing to Indy and Phoenix? Yes, I do. Denver themselves, they're on a tear. They beat Toronto. But looking at that game, do you know what they didn't win? The first quarter. They put up 29 points to Toronto's 34. Memphis game that they played, didn't cover that spread. That was 27-28. You know what I'm saying? So to me right now, I think you can catch the Bulls here, and the Bulls being on a healthy run that they're on, to this Denver team that really can kind of I don't want to say relax, but Memphis is they're on a downfall right now. You don't know what's going on with that squad. So Denver themselves can be kind of comfortable and still play at that slow pace. I just think the Bulls here could outright win this first quarter. So give me Bulls +3 and I'm taking Bulls first quarter money line. Bulls first quarter +3, and Bulls first quarter money line. Those are my plays that I'm confident about.
Wow. Wow. Our line shot for the money line, but we got you the +3 first quarter, -108. Let's hear what LJ has to say about this spot. LJ, take it away. Bulls, Nuggets.
Darryl's on the Bulls first quarter money line. Wow. I don't know, Darryl. Bulls don't play well in this spot, man. They're only 6-14 versus the West, 1-8 on the road versus the West. And it's interesting that you say that first quarter. I would be on it with the Bulls in another situation, but they are 8-2 ATS in the first quarter and first half in their last 10 road games. So they've been playing well, but most of those games there have been versus the East on the road. When the Chicago's on the road versus the West, it's a completely different story. They are 20-8 in their last 28 ATS in the first half. They are 10-3 last 13 to the under first half as well. But I'm going against you, Darryl. Okay. The Trilogy play today didn't come through last night. But I do believe, Jimmy, on your show when I debuted it, I think the Trilogy player today is undefeated, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I know the chat can fact check it. You know, they always on it. So, but for the fact that I'm on the show today, Jimmy, and my boy Darryl's on, I'm going Nuggets first quarter minus the 2.5 because they lost last first quarter versus Toronto. So I think they're going to be pickings to win this one because the Bulls are 7-1 straight up on the road in the first quarter versus the West in their last 9 games. So I believe Denver comes out in the first quarter and get them.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
The Nuggets are 7-3 at home versus the East in the first quarter, straight up. So, Jimmy, minus 2.5 first quarter for Denver is my play. Denver is top 5 at points scored at home and top 5 in points scored allowed at home. Only one team in the NBA that's like that. So, for those purposes, give me Nuggets first quarter minus 2.5. Trilogy play of the day.
Hey, you had to put the Trilogy play of the day on me, man. I'm telling you.
Hey, man,
it wasn't just LJ. It wasn't just a regular play, bruh. You just had to put the LJ. You know, so hey, as long as we can win, man. If you win, I'm proud of you, man. I'm happy for you, man. We hear we can always. It's good to have different sides. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we always
the
on
numbers
the
is
same
telling
side.
me. The numbers are telling me Denver the first quarter, man, especially at home.
Well, I'm saying put you in the pack, bruh.
A lot of cappers loving it in the chat. The Trilogy versus the I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is.
Yeah.
This
is gonna be good. This is gonna be good, man.
They are heads up here. Wham! By the way, Wham likes Daryl's look. Says Bulls are 8-2 against spread in the first quarter last 10 games. And Mike M says they pass on the same games, then both go head to head on plays.
That's what we do. That's what the show is about, man.
Hey, man, yeah.
It's going to be a fun 12 minutes.
I am going to have my – hey, LJ, I'll hit you. I'll be texting you throughout this first quarter on this one. So I'm going to have my wine ready on this one, man, because
no doubt.
If it hits, it hits. But, yo, if I get this money line and this +3, Jimmy, I'm talking cash shit next Wednesday.
It's going to be fun. All right, let's keep rolling here. Next up for us, Oklahoma City Thunder, 30-34, 11-19 on the road. Phoenix Suns, 36-29, 21-10 at home. Load management, keeping Shea off the floor. It just sucks. It just sucks.
But he was okay. So he's off today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stimmy OG is going big on OKC. Plus 13.5. Let's take a look at the line history for this one. Move over here. We have Phoenix opening up at -12. They're now minus 13.5. And that's a lot. Totals wise, it's opened up at 234. It's now 233.5. Let's take a look at the cash flow and see if it all correlates in this one. the total 81% of the tickets and 95% of the cash on the over, and it's dropped a half point. It's fishy, man.
Jimmy,
Yeah.
real quick, I'm sorry. I wanted to say something. Only just keeping. I saw a comment by Shogun saying that he wanted to take that first quarter over on the Bulls and Denver game. I was looking at that because I look at those numbers for two teams that are averaging over 30 points in their last three, and the total on this is 55.5. Be very careful there. That just seems too low. That seems too low for two teams who are putting up over 60 combined in the quarter. So I like overs. I know your boy Nolly loves unders. I would love to get Nolly's opinion if he had one on that one. But that number is just suspiciously too low for me to be like, wow, this is going to go over. So that's all. Sorry about that. I wanted to point that out because we're always trying to kind of give our opinions and help people. So, yeah.
Yeah, you've added so much interest into this game as well here.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait. You guys going head to head. We'll hear if Noli's moving on total. We have heard from Tease.
That's my guy.
Tease is on the Bulls first quarter money line. So
that's my guy.
He's right there with you on that one, Daryl. Razor Sharp picks off to a great start on the pick 5. Great job, Razor. I love it. And our guy Nightmare, I'm not entirely sure, Nightmare, what you mean, says if I miss the live, why can't I find them after the show? Do you mean the show live? If you could explain that a little bit more, I'd love to help whatever's going on for you to help. But let's move on to this spot, Thunder Phoenix. We have a huge spread. Let's take a look at the cash here on the spread. 66% of the tickets and 73% of the cash is on Oklahoma City. Yet the market's moving towards the Suns. That means if you want the Thunder, you would have to bet first quarter or first half look rather than full game. If the big bets are on the Thunder and the market's moving towards the Suns, I don't know how you could not do that here. Thunder on the second half of back-to-back after securing their third straight win, 137-128 at home over Golden State last night. Giddy career high, 17 assists, 17 points, 17 assists, 11 boards.
Yeah,
he's a monster. But Shea out of the lineup, load management. Jalen Williams' wrist will not be in the lineup. Ooh. It's hard to believe that Shea is not in the lineup when you're one game out of the playoff spot. It's wild, just wild, and I hate it. Thunder are averaging 132 points per game in those 3 wins. Suns come in off their third straight win, 131-26 at Dallas on Sunday. KD went for 37 on 12 of 17 shooting, and now he's making his home court debut. His home court debut here. He's been very good so far. 29-42 from the field, averaging 26.7 points per game, and Booker's been going off with KD there. Stephen Harris says, I think Phoenix snacks them people. KD first game at home. And then Markel says, why everyone on KC? I'm going the other way. Very, very interesting. Mally Mouse says Suns cashing first quarter. Let's go around the horn here. LJ, get us started here. Oklahoma City Thunder, Phoenix Suns. And Shogun Soup, our guy now, member We Be Public. Respect to our guy Shogun Soup in the house. LJ, the floor is yours. Thunder, Suns.
Yeah. Suns, man, I do believe if all things work out and everybody's healthy, man, I do believe the Suns will be in June in the NBA Finals, my friend.
Wow.
They're a completely different team without KD. With KD, I'm sorry. They're 3-0 in the first quarter, averaging 58 points since KD made his debut 3 games ago. And now he's coming home, making his debut versus Oklahoma City. What a way to bring in the home crowd. You know what I'm saying? Perfect situation, no shade. I believe the Suns are going to come out early and often in this game. The Thunder, they're only 4-6 versus the Pacific. They're only 4-6 in the last 10 games, and they're 5-12 on the road versus the West. Now, I'm going to attack this game in the first quarter. Last 6 road games versus the West in the first quarter, the total for the Thunder has averaged 63 points. It's 5-1 to the over in the first quarter, last 6 road games versus the West. So the Suns have went over as well in the first quarter, 2 out of the 3 games that KD's been in the lineup. So I usually take the Suns at home first quarter under. They are 21-10 to the first half under at home. But I need to see KD first to see if he propels that trend to go over because of the scoring that has been added to the team. So that's just going to be something I'm going to be cautious of, looking at the Suns' first half under now since KD's on the team. But as far as my play today, I'm taking first quarter over 59.5 because I believe the Suns will put up at least 30. And I think, OKC will make it, first quarter to they make him put up maybe 27, points, somewhere around there, 26, but I think the Suns could put up well over 30 in the first quarter because we do know Booker plays the whole first quarter. So he's probably going to have 10 points easily in the first quarter alone, just him. So with KD as well adding, Ayton, he's been, contributing, as of late. As far as defensively, man, this team, I believe, is locked in defense, especially in situations like they did Dallas Sunday. So all that said, Oklahoma City Suns first quarter over 59.5 is my bet. And I have 3 prop bets in this game, Jimmy. I'm taking Booker over 26.5 points, minus 115. I'm taking DeAndre Ayton rebounds over 11.5, minus 104. And I'm taking Durant plus a block, which is minus 400. Now, I'm not taking it singly. I'm parlaying it with the rebounds with Ayton and the points with Books. That gives you a plus 363 money line parlay.
Let's get it.
So that's my play right there. I've done it the last 3 games. Well, no, the 2 games. I didn't do it the first game versus KD because I wanted to see how it works. But I parlayed those 3 the last 2 games, and both of them have hit. So I'm just going to continue what keeps working. Those 3 parlayed. Suns, first quarter, over 59.5. And total. First quarter, 59.5.
So in review, the Durant over a half block is just part of the parlay?
Yes, it's not a single bet. It's just part of the parlay.
Okay, so you have first quarter over 59.5 and minus 109. Booker over 26.5 points and minus 115. Ayton over 11.5 rebounds and minus 104. The Booker over 26.5 points, Ayton over 11.5 rebounds. Durant over a half block. Parlay is at what?
Plus 363.
All right, LJ is locked in. Let's hear what Darryl has to say. Darryl, take it away. Thunder, Suns.
I don't want to take it away. I don't want to take this shit away at all. Nah, bro. I'm good. It's OKC, man. I don't bet OKC games. I don't, man. Now, they do cover spreads because these spreads be so large. Yeah. But the Suns can actually knock these boys out the park, right? Mm-hmm. I think I'll be a believer after this game because if they can go on a run and keep that lead, then I'm like, okay, yeah, you've got the true beast in the West right now, which is being the Suns and not necessarily Denver. So these are 2 games that I'm going to watch. One, Denver, Chicago, and this one here, Phoenix and OKC. You're supposed to put teams like this away, right? I was looking at Giddey's assists. Those are juiced. So he should probably give you 10 or 11 assists. 9 assists is sitting at minus 243. So when I see numbers like that, that's a little telling here. So all in all, I'm off this game. I really don't bet a lot of Suns games. I'm not a big Suns fan, period. But this team is complete right now with KD in. And what is telling is what I've said from the get-go. Booker does play that whole 12 minutes in the first quarter, which gives them an advantage. So I would look at a first quarter play here. It's just the Suns are not like the upper echelon. Like these guys are actually in the last 10 first quarters. This is from March 1st, right? So we're talking 7 days ago. They're 3-7. They're 3-7. At home, they're 16-15. Away, they're 16-15, right? So they're 32-30 overall, so they're barely over 500, man. And I can't gauge them. So with the spread this large, the way the NBA's been going right now, I would only look at OKC full game. But the Suns need to blow them out and keep that blowout. So for right now, no play for me off this game.
All right, let's move on to the final game on the card. This has been extremely enjoyable capping with you guys. I love it. Razor, by the way, Sixers to win it all at plus 1,200, drop 5K.
Razor, let's get it, bro. Let's get it, man.
60K, and I can only pray that you get an opportunity to hedge that shit. My prayer for you, my friend. Prayer for you that you get that opportunity. All right, let's move on to the final game on the board. 10 p.m. Eastern. Toronto Raptors 32-34, 12-21 on the road at the LA Clippers. 34-33, 16-15 at home. We're at Crypto in Los Angeles, California. Let's move on to the line history. When my friends make big bets like this, it just stays in my head nonstop. Like I'll wake up thinking about Razor having the opportunity to cash 60K.
Yeah.
It's good. It's fun. Fun. He had that chance with the Heat. It wasn't quite 60K, but he had that chance with the Heat last year for a huge score. Was it last year or was it 2 years ago? I can't remember now. Clippers opening up at -3.5. They're now -2.5. Total wise, it's opened up at 229. It's now at 229.5. Again, these are pinnacle moves. And Bo Jackson and Kawhi 5-0 against the Raptors since moving to LA. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this spot here. We have 62% of the tickets, but just 29% of the cash on the Clippers. 62 and 29 on the Clippers. So big bets coming in on the Raptors market, slightly moving towards the Raptors. Let's see what the total is here. The total on this spot has 45% of the tickets and 93% of cash on the under. 45 and 93, and it's gone up a half point. That is confusing. Raptors coming off their second loss in 3 games, 118-113 at Denver on Monday night. Van Vliet 21 and 14, Siakam 19, Portal 18 and 9. Barnes got ejected, but was 12 and 9. He'll learn. He'll learn. It's okay. It was a bad time for him to get ejected, but this is a healthy group. They're 9 and 4 since February 3rd. Clippers snapped their 5-game losing streak with a 135-129 win at home versus Memphis on Sunday night. Storm and Norman Powell remains out of the lineup with a left shoulder injury. This team is so underwhelming. It's wild to watch them not succeed. Take it away here. Our final game on the card before we get into college basketball. Darryl, take the floor. Raptors, Clippers.
If you know, you know. I've already put it out there. 2 things that are always consistently hitting. They've hit the last 5. Pirtle's points and Van Vliet's assists. Bottom line. So I was looking at Pirtle's points. The books finally adjusted because his points was always sitting at 11.5. They're now at 13.5, and that's juiced. Not by a lot, but it's -12. Give me Jakob Pirtle points, at least 14 at -112. I'm jumping on that. And let's see if they moved Van Vliet's assist. They sure did. They moved him up. So now his 8 assists is sitting at -213. So I'm going to lay off the assist. Jakob Pirtle points, at least 14 at -112. That play is cash. That play is cashing for sure, especially against a team who's going to play tempo, who's going to try to play fast. This is going to be an opportunity for him to have more points. Jakob Pirtle, 18, 14, 23, 14. Lowest amount of points he's had right now is 14. Give me at least 14 points in this one. Man, this one works. This one is a cheat code. Jakob Pirtle points, at least 14, official play.
You are locked in over 13.5 points, -112. Let's hear what LJ has to say about this spot. Raptors, Clippers, last game on the board. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I really didn't have too much on this game, man. I did a couple of notes. As far as the Raptors, they're good in the first quarter, man. They're 17-91 straight up in their last 27 first quarter, 7-3-1 last 11 straight up in the first quarter. So they come out of the gates, and try to step on you. But they're only 381 ATS in the last 12 in the first half. So that lets me know they come out in the first quarter, then they digress in the second half. But as far as the Clippers, they're only 3-7 in the last 10. 15-7 to the under at home. So I will be looking at an under, just leaning that way. But I'm going to attack the first quarter, man. Me and Darryl on the show, we love first quarters. We love
love
attacking
first quarter
games straight out the gate because we like to get our money and get out. Because
Get out.
some
Got shit to do.
fuckery and trickery can happen.
We got shit to do, man.
Game. So I'm going to play this safe. I did some digging, and the Clippers are 8-2 in their last 10 to the under. First quarter at home versus the East. So, first quarter under 59 is my play. I looked at the Raptors. They're only scoring maybe the last game versus versus Denver, I think they scored 30. But before that couple games, I saw they were putting them maybe 20, 23, somewhere around there. And the Clippers only scored maybe around 25, 26 points in the first quarter easily as well. So, I believe this first quarter is going under considering how these teams play in that spot. Clippers are a low-tempo team, so give me my play under first quarter 59.
Nice. And I can get you a 59.5. Bet Chris.
Okay.
And a couple books have moved it to 59.5. Bookmaker Bet Chris. So we'll give you that 59.5. That's at regular juice minus 110. First quarter under 59.5. It's all coming down to it in the Wake Forest Syracuse game. It's going to be tight. Doesn't look great here. Ski Profit saying, letting y'all know now, I will be the cornhole.
Get your mans, Jimmy. Get your mans, guy.
This guy's ready to go. I love his confidence. This guy is ready to go. I can't, but I'm so excited to hang with everybody. I'm just so excited, man. So excited. All right, let's review all action here. And God, they're going to go back up with it. Oh, God, I hate having action here. In the middle of a show, hard to stay focused, but let's lock in action here. Screwed. For our opener, LJ's on the Wizards first quarter +1 at -110 and the full game over 235.5. Darryl, you're interested in the first quarter under 61. We'll see if you tweet that out and lock it in. Then we have Darryl on the Celtics first half -6 at -105, and I expect to move on Portland, Boston under after the show. Astute Chaos is on Cleveland, Miami, first half over 110.5 and first half over 111. Mike M is on Dallas, first half team total over 60, first half over 119.5 and the over 233.5. The trifecta over in Dallas Pelicans. Darryl is on BI, points, rebounds, and assists over 35.5, -129. And I think I do move on the Pelicans here. Darryl is on the Bulls, first quarter +3 at -108. That, my friends, is the I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is play today. Going heads up with the Trill OG play today from LJ is on the Nuggets first quarter -2.5. Darryl also added the Bulls money line as well. First quarter 175. LJ's on the first quarter over 59.5 in Thunder Suns. He's on Booker over 26.5 points, 8 and over 11.5 rebounds. And he's parlayed Booker over 26.5 points, 8 and over 11.5 rebounds. And Durant over a half block at +360.
That's good.
Stimmy OG jumped into the chat from work and he said he's going big on the Thunder +13 and Darryl has moved on Jakob Poeltl, however you want to pronounce it, over 13.5 points at -112. LJ's on the Raptors first quarter under 59.5 at -110. And that, my friends, is our NBA coverage. These two gentlemen went a combined 10-1 plus 9.73 units last Wednesday. And they're going back to the well here for Jakob Puddle. Okay, thank you.
Puddle. Wild today, man.
Hey, Darryl, Cashman said he put the double-double. Would you be mad at a double-double, Jakob Puddle? Could he get the 10 rebounds?
Yeah, he could.
He could?
He could. But here's the thing. Here's the problem that Pirtle does have at times is that he gets into foul trouble.
Gotcha.
He does get into foul trouble, which takes away from his minutes, right? And if he gets into early foul trouble, that could hurt us. But the points are going to always be there. So, I can talk you off that double-double. But if he get into foul trouble early, man, trust me, Nurse is going to be like, nah. So, yeah, we'll see.
All right, I got you. I'm riding that points, though, with you.
Thank you guys for rolling with us. I enjoyed this immensely. LJ, my man, let the Cappers know where they can find you. Well, I'll tell you, at LJ Sports Media on Twitter. Check him out, follow him, support him. Great Capper. Hope you can roll with me again on Sunday nights. I love those live betting NBA games. Anything else you want to talk about here, my man, before we move on to college basketball?
Oh, yeah, man. I definitely will be joining you on Sunday night. Again, live stream, capping the games, doing it live. Next Wednesday, I got this thing called jury duty. So I won't be able to be with you next Wednesday. But that following Wednesday before Palooza, I will be able to do it if you have a slot for me. But yeah, definitely tune in to me, Pub Sports Radio. Follow me on YouTube as well. I have a Raw Words podcast. I have a show that we do. We talk ball. I've had Darryl on there as well. So go to YouTube, subscribe. Raw Words podcast. LJ from Houston is how you bring it up. Check, subscribe, like, follow all that. As far as the chat, man, bomb chat, man. We already know Pub Sports is the best chat in the world. We got Razor, Moneyline Mills, Harold Mills, everybody, man. Stimmy OG, AOD, everybody support, man. We always have the best crew in the building. So thank you, Jimmy, once again, for letting me bring my expertise to the show. Darryl, you already know, man. We're going to be hollering. We will do a show this week for sure. So I will be in touch with you. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, LJ from Houston, I'm out. Let's cash.
Let's go. Our guy, LJ, in the house. Darryl, we go from Houston to Los Angeles, California. Thank you, my man. You have moved into the black with that exceptional, exceptional week last week. Both LJ and Darryl healthy in the black here. Great work. Follow Darryl on Twitter at It's Darryl. Darryl, any last words for the Capper Sporting Show?
Any day on this side of the grass, Jimmy, is a
good day.
That's all I got to say, brother. I will see you on next week.
I love it. There he is. It's Darryl in the house. All right. It is time to focus our attention to college basketball. And unlike yesterday, starting off with an L, 35-33, Syracuse over Wake Forest. Disappointing. Very, very disappointing. Those of you on Davidson, they're up 47-39. What we are doing here on this show and what we will continue to be doing is hammer all of the afternoon action. Our big college basketball show, Net Profits, doesn't start till 5 p.m. Eastern, and there'll be a lot of night games there. Also, we're focusing on the finals in the conference tournaments. And then I was like, God, we got to talk about the 2 ACC games at night here, especially the North Carolina game. So we added those as well. So that is our schedule. You can check it out on our description. But let's get to work right now and bring on your college basketball expert coming off a very clean and easy 1-0 day. Actually, I don't see him in the background anymore. So I'll wait a second here for his camera to start. But he is coming off a very clean 1-0 day yesterday with Gonzaga. First half, it was wild seeing St. Mary's not show up in that one. And he's been so exceptional on his Saturday's best bets, and he's been great overall in the year. And it's tough when you're only on a show a couple days a week because the sample size is not proper. Here, he is 38-36, hitting at 51.4%, down 1.74 units, ROI minus 2.35%, average line minus 110. He's having some computer issues, so he's going to jump back in. But we do have a parlay from Dan Kelly, a top 40 parlay. I'm going to copy and paste that. He gave us Dietrich top 40 last week, and that was a nice, comfortable casher. So I'm going to copy and paste that. Here we go. All right, let's move on. And Daby Cab will be joining us here shortly, but let's get to work here. It says, but StreamYard just kicked you out. Okay. We'll click the invite again, Daby Cab. Click the invite again because you're not even below the screen right now. Let me know if you need a different invite code. I'll just pass you another one here and see if this one will work. Here, Daby Cab. There you go. Okay. Paste and send. Okay, that's the invite there. All right. No, Jose's in Miami. There's no Jose. Troy Torrance says, I was heavy on the Zags. Such a misplaced line, in my opinion. If you watch both regular season matchups, you were on the Zags. Great work. Let's get to work right now. And we're starting the day down $150, unfortunately. So let's get that back immediately. Someone who's not down is Regis Austin. He was on Wake Syracuse first half under 72.5, and he cashed that comfortably. So great job. Let's bring him on, your NCAA basketball expert. It's his time of year. Please welcome Daby Cab to the show. Daby, how are you, my man?
What's up, Jimmy? I'm good, man. I'm good. That first start, I joined you with that Wake, and I'm kicking myself because that was one that I capped that I wanted, and I told myself I wasn't going to bet it because I knew Syracuse was a play, but I still did it anyways. I gave into my fucking desire, but we got plenty of action to get going on, so it's all good.
Yeah, disappointing start. I felt like it was the right look. Let's get to work. Let's get that back. We start at 2 p.m. Eastern. This one pops off in an hour and 3 minutes. Mountain West Championship first round. Fresno State Bulldogs 11-19, 6-12 in conference versus the Colorado State Rams 14-17, 6-12 also in conference. We're at the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's go into the line history here for this one. Oh, sorry, that's Pinnacle. Let's go into the line history and for this one. Move over to NCAA action, and let's get the cash flow up as well. Line history-wise for Fresno State, Colorado State. This opened up at some offshores with Colorado State at -1.5. It opened up at Pinnacle at -2. At Pinnacle, they're -2.5 right now. Let's go over to Bet Online because we know they get to the market first. They opened up at 1.5, and they're at -3. So they have a 1.5 move towards Colorado State. Take a look at the total. Opened up at 137. It got all the way down to 133.5. It's at 134 right now. Take a look at the cash flow here for this one up here. And for this one, we have – sorry, take 1 second. Here we go. We have 30% of the tickets and 60% of the cash on Fresno State. That's hard to believe. Why then would the market be moving over to Colorado State? From a total side of things, 67% of the tickets and 88% of the cash on the under, and that's been dropping very quickly. So the market or the books are concerned about that. Fresno State closed the regular season with a 108-72 home victory over Chicago State. Non-conference game is 12-point favorites. Colorado State closed the season with their second win in 3 games. 92-84 at home over New Mexico as 2.5-point dogs. They shot 58.2% from the field and 55% from 3. They looked very good. They won at home 79-57 over Fresno State before beating them again 60-57 as 2-point dogs at Fresno State on February 18th. Nice job, Sharon. That's beautiful. Troy Torrance says, I think I want Fresno, but I'm staying off. Not feeling too strong about it. Let's hear what Daby Cab has to say. Mountain West Championship, first round, Fresno State, Colorado State.
Yeah, I got you. This Fresno team, I mean, I know everybody knows, but they're rough across the board when it comes to offense. They're only putting up 63.4 points per game. That's 344th in the country. They're allowing 66, so their defense have been well, but they're only doing this. They shoot 43.1%. That's 268th, so they're below average there. From 3, they only shoot 30.9%. That's 335th, way below average there. And they're also only averaging 12.2 assists per game, which is 255th. And if anybody pays attention, I love teams that move the ball around. So pretty much across the board, Fresno State struggling, whereas Colorado State, this has been, I guess, a down year for them, you want to say, but kind of expected with the players they lost and everything. But they're still shooting at a 49.3% clip, which is 8th in the country, which is outstanding. And they're getting 16.9 assists per game, which, again, I keep saying I love teams that move the ball. Defensively, they've struggled, giving up 71.8 points per game. But Colorado State, I know they're not a great team, but I think they're still playing better basketball here. They had 74 points in their last 3 games, making 51% of their shots. And on the flip side, the Bulldogs, who usually play well defensively, have given up 74 or more points in 4 straight games. And offensively on the road, this Fresno State team is putting up just under 65 points per game, which is terrible. So I like Colorado State here. I got them full game, and that's what I'm doing.
Colorado State full game. Did you tweet it out?
Yeah.
Okay, what did you get?
-1.5, and it's -120.
Colorado State -1.5 at -120. I get it. I get it. Dan Kelly says, is this a simple reverse line movement play? It's I guess, I Colorado State moving to 3. When the side is all over Fresno State, the public's on Colorado. I know I find it confusing, to be honest with you, Dan. I don't find it simple at all. But Trap God respecting that Daby got it at -1.5. G Martinez.
I pay a little juice for that though. I had to take it down to that from the 2.
Pay a dime on it. It's all good. D Martinez says Fresno had a 7-point lead on them last game in the second half. And Troy says, I think it's potentially a sharp trap like the Zags game last night. All right, Johnny K. Are you talking Colorado or Colorado State, Johnny K? Because they're both on our show today. So let us know if that is Colorado State that you're on. There's Matty Ice in the house. Matty Ice, lot of cappers searching for you daily on Twitter. You are missed and loved. Great to have you here rolling with us. Let's move on to the A10 Championship second round. Richmond Spiders, 15-17, 7-11 in conference. Oh, both, says Johnny K. Okay. Versus George Mason Patriots, 19-12, 11-7 in conference. We're at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York for this one. Moving to the line history here. We have at Pinnacle, George Mason opening up at -1. They're now -3. I was shocked that this would only open at -1. At Bet Online, it's opened up at -1. It got to -3. It's come back to 2.5. Total wise, it's opened up at 133. It got all the way down to 130. And that was an hour and 6 minutes ago. Since then, it's come back to 132. So there's been a move on the over since then. Let's take a look at the cash action. Of course, Matty Ice. Yeah, of course. Look at AOD calling you the Taint Lord. You want to keep that nickname private, but there you are. Of course, we always want to hear your action, my man. Here we have 45% of the tickets and 61% of the cash on Richmond. The line when it came out, I found it confusing. But I guess it makes sense there. 42% of the tickets and 50% of the cash on the under. Market moving back up to the over. Richmond opened up their conference tournament yesterday. They snapped their 3-game losing streak in a 71-38 win over UMass as 3-point favorites. George Mason finished their season on a 6-game winning streak, and their last win came on Saturday at these Richmond Spiders. They beat them 62-60 as 2.5-point dogs. They also squeaked past them 62-58 at home back on December 31st. Coin says this is George Mason's spot, painted threes across the board. Mally Mal says just fade whoever had a terrible away record. Trust them to be who they are, and says this is an over spot. Let's hear what Daby Cab has to say about this spot. A10 Championship second round, Richmond, George Mason.
Yeah, this Richmond team, they finished 11th in scoring in the A10. And in their 2 games against George Mason, they didn't even average 60 points, which is pretty bad. 9th in field goal percentage in the A10, 10th in 3-point shooting. Whereas you look at George Mason, they finished 5th in the conference, won both games versus Richmond. I know they were close games, but in those 2 games, George Mason absolutely fucking dominated the paint. They outscored Richmond 74-42 in those 2 games. And this is a George Mason team that was 6th in field goal percentage and 2nd in 3-point shooting in the conference. I know it's hard to beat a team 3 times, especially a team that you played so close twice. But I got to say here, I would look George Mason or nothing. I'm not on this game, but that's where I'd look.
I have interest in George Mason, but when you barely beat your opponent twice in a row, and then they get the game under their belt and dominate and get all the pressure off of them, it does make me a little nervous. Troy Torrance says system play Richmond first half. Teams who have a game under their belt in conference tournament have covered the first half at a ridiculous rate.
Comfortable with the court. Makes sense.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that does make sense to get tired late. All right. Trap Gods on the board with Colorado State. Interesting look. I copied and pasted Troy so we can discuss it here. And this show will be done before 2 p.m. So if we do want to make moves on it, we can. By the way, our man Matty Ice is on Colorado State money line, and he did live bet Wake Forest money line. All right, let's move on to the ACC second round, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 15-17, 6-14 in conference versus the Pitt Panthers 21-10, 14-6 in conference. We're at Greensboro Coliseum for this one. Let's take a look at the line history here. A lot of people wanting to talk Pitt basketball right now. They were a fascinating team all year. They opened up at -6.5. Now they are -7. Totals wise, opened up at 144 and it's dropped all the way down to 139.5. It actually went down to 138.5. It's now at 139.5. Big drop on this total. Let's see if the cash correlates there. We have on the total 58% of the tickets and 92% of cash on the under. So we've had a huge move towards the under. Big bets coming in on the under, market respecting them. 45% of tickets and 60, now 58, just dropped. 58% of tickets on the Pitt Panthers here. Johnny K has Georgia Tech first half, Pitt full game. Georgia Tech comes in off a conference tournament opening 61-60 victory at home over Florida State yesterday as 2.5-point favorites. We cashed that first half under. We didn't do that here today on that Wake first half. Pitt closed the season on their second straight loss, 78-76 at Miami on Saturday as 8-point dogs. I liked the way they played. I like it a lot. I thought that was a great sign, fighting that hard against Miami when Miami had a lot on the line there to win the ACC. Pitt defeated Georgia Tech 71-60 earlier in the year before beating them again 76-68 at home on February 21st. They were 12-point favorites at home. I think this is I'm interested in backing Pitt here. Smash spot, Pitt get rolling in the ACC tournament. But I want to hear Daby Cab break it down. Take it away.
What I can tell you about Georgia Tech, they've won 4 straight, including yesterday's win over Florida State. But I said this yesterday when we capped this, Jimmy. Georgia Tech has no depth, okay? Their 5 starting players played 193 of a possible 200 minutes. Or I just said 193. They played the whole game, okay? So if you put it all together, 193 of each player's, I'm not going to explain it. They played the whole game. They're not using their bench, okay? That could be a problem here against Pitt. They're going to be tired. And Pitt has multiple players who average double figures. This team scores from different parts of the court, which I love to see. I think Georgia Tech has been great. And anybody who's been cashing on the last few games, hats off to you. But the thing is I think that they're going to wear down here, especially against this Pitt team that's still out to prove something. Georgia Tech's only putting up 69.4 points per game. And they're allowing 70.2, where you look at Pitt, they're putting up 75.9. That's 81st in the country. They're slightly above average on defense, allowing 69.3, 152nd. I think this is a good spot for Pitt to keep rolling. I haven't jumped out on it yet. I would kind of lean full game if I was going to bet this one, but that's where it's at.
I feel like I loved what I saw against Miami, and that maybe concerns me a little bit. Thank you, Dave Edgington, for the math there. I want to back Pitt. I don't care about I understand the trend of the teams playing yesterday, but I think an important point is what Daby Cab said. You have your starters playing the whole game.
Yeah, you multiply 5 by 40. That's how you get 200 minutes, right? Those 5 starters played 193 of those 200 minutes. Sorry, I didn't want to explain that to everyone, but I had to. I couldn't help it. Sorry.
Okay. All good.
Oh, there you go, David. Thank you.
Yeah. Dave came in, has your back there.
There you go.
And Troy says another spot to back Georgia Tech first half, but I'm not doing it versus this Pitt team that will dominate the glass. Brian Watson said line dropped from 8.5 to 5.5. I've not seen that. Let's go back to the spread. So this opened up at 6.5. It's now at 7. I'd be very curious. Oh, you're talking about, sorry. You're probably talking about a book that opened it up at some point this morning. Yeah, I don't care about that. I care about, this action was available for gamblers all day yesterday. Billy Friedrich says Pitt has lost me a lot of cash lately. And I think that's the reason why we're getting the number that we are. That's the reason why the public is on Georgia Tech. Mike Kemp says Tech is 4 wins in a row. I think they keep the score up. Pitt 50-50 shot to cover, but over his play. I'm different. I'm thinking double up for the Panthers here. I think this is a great spot. I think Panthers take this seriously and get rolling. I think I move on Pittsburgh first half full game. Makes me a little nervous, and maybe I should just focus on the full game with the somewhat tired Tech squad. That was a tough win for them yesterday as well. Let's move on. I'm going to move on Pitt first half full game. You're staying off this spot, Daby?
Yeah, I'm going to stay off. I have a couple games that we might add at the end if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay. All right, let's move on to the SWAC tournament quarterfinal. Bethune-Cookman Wildcats 12-19, 8-10 in the SWAC. Versus Grambling Tigers 22-8, 15-3 in the SWAC. Troy, I told everybody about it already, but I'll hit you with it again, my man. Troy asking for the cash on the Pittsburgh game. 45% of the tickets are on Pitt, 58% of the cash, and the market from the opening line has moved towards them. People whose books didn't open it up early enough may see an 8.5 opener, but that had moved from 6 at the books that opened this up. So let's roll on here. So let's go to the line movement here. We're at Bartow Arena in Birmingham, Alabama for the SWAC quarters. Would love to see Grambling make a run in this conference tournament. Let's take a look at what we're doing line history-wise. Grambling State, huge favorites here. They opened up at -10 at Pinnacle. They opened it up last night, 9:20. They're -10 right now. Let's see what BetOnline did with this spot here. BetOnline opened this up. Same deal, -10. It's -10. It hasn't changed from the -10. Total-wise here, this opened up at 133.5. It's now at 132, so it's down 1.5. Let's take a look at the cash. Excuse me. Oh, don't worry, Troy. All good, my man. Anytime. If you miss it, I can replay. Don't think twice. It's all good. Let's take a look at the cash here. Cash wise, 41% of the tickets and 88% of the cash is on Bethune-Cookman. That's very interesting. I mean, it's a big spread here. Let's take a look at the total here. This total has 73% of tickets, but just 45% of cash on the under. So there are some big bets that have come in on the over. Bethune-Cookman comes in off its third win in 4 games, 91-70 at home over Florida A&M as 4-point favorites. They shot beautifully, 57.4 from the field, 56.5% from 3. Their lone loss over these past 4 games was at home versus Grambling on February 27th, 66-54. They were 7.5-point dogs. They also lost at Grambling back on January 7th, and they were great. They played 76-70 as 10.5-point dogs. So Grambling comes in off its 9th straight win, 69-49 at home on Saturday as 11-point favorites. I'm interested in following in here with Bethune-Cookman to play them tough enough to cover double digits. Very interested. Mike M says faves or small dogs in the SWAC are 1-18 against the spread, facing a team they beat in the previous meeting. If they were dogs or favored by 3.5 or more. I think that Bethune-Cookman can keep this within double digits. I mean, all the pressure's on Grambling after a 15-3 conference regular season. Let's hear what Daby Cab has to say. SWAC tournament quarters, Bethune-Cookman, Grambling.
Yeah. All right. So the Wildcats are putting up 67.7 points on per game on 41.6% shooting and giving up 74.6 points on 45.1% shooting, whereas Grambling is putting up 68.4 on 45.3% shooting and only allowing 61.7 on just 38.3% shooting. So huge statistical advantage there, obviously. But you look at what these teams have been doing lately. Wildcats 6-0 their last 6 neutral sites against the spread. 10-3 ATS overall, their last 13. Tigers, 5-0 ATS, last 5 overall. And the under is 8-2 the last 10 games for the Tigers. Here's the thing. This Cookman team, they lost by an average of 6.9 points on the year. So on the year, that's when they lost by an average of basically 7 points and 12.9 points as a dog on the year. They really aren't that good of a team. I can understand looking at this line maybe being high for a tournament, and that's why I'm not betting it, but I would only look Grambling or pass.
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at that last game against Grambling here with just a second ago. They lose 66-54. At home. Grambling shoots 53.8 from the field, but Bethune-Cookman 13% from 3, and then they fall late. For me, this adds up to Bethune-Cookman first half. They can hit buckets, they can play with Grambling, and then Grambling just sort of wears them down throughout the game. And we've seen that twice this year. I think they can keep it close, but I prefer a first half look. And I'm going to move on it. Bethune-Cookman first half for me. Need them to hit their buckets like they just did against Florida A&M. I'm on it. So I'm on Bethune-Cookman first half. All right, let's move on. 3 p.m. Eastern Pac-12 tournament, first round. Colorado Buffalo 16-15, 8-12 in the conference versus the Washington Huskies 16-15, 8-12 in conference. Let's take a look at the line history here for Pac-12 action. Move up to the 3 o'clock starting date. Here we go. My Huskies in action here. God, do I not like this basketball team. But the Huskies open up at +4 at Pinnacle. They're now at +2. So there is, cappers that believe. It took everything for me not to take them against Washington State. I knew it was just a fan thing talking here, and thank God I didn't because Washington State won their 6th straight. Same thing at BetOnline, +4 to +2. So a big move towards Washington. Totals wise here, opening up at 135. This got up to 140. This was at 140 last night and it's come all the way back to 136.5. That's some wild movement here. Let's take a look at the cash and see if it follows 3 p.m. We have on that total that's been all over and fluctuating, 61% of the tickets and 85% of the cash are on the under. 61 and 85, and this was bet up to 140 and now is dropping. That's interesting. So you if you trusted it, you'd have to say that the early bets and the sharper bets or the people who got in first to the market are wrong. I don't like believing in that. Spread wise here, you have 51% of tickets, 66% of cash on Colorado, and the market moving towards the Huskies. Colorado snapped their 3-game losing streak, ending the regular season with a 69-60 home win over Utah on Saturday as 3.5-point favorites. Washington closed their season with that 93-84 loss I was speaking about to Washington State. That ended up as a pick'em. Washington beat Colorado both times this year. They beat them at home 73-63 earlier in the year, and then they beat them again 75-72 at Colorado's 9-point dogs. They're going to beat them again. I mean, and also you have a team that's, a dog that's beaten the opponent both times this year. This is a very fascinating one. Let's see if Daby Cab has interest. Pac-12 tournament first round, Buffalo's Huskies.
Yeah, both of these teams struggle bad on offensive end. Washington putting up 69.2 points per game. That's 243rd. Colorado 69.9. That's 218th. Their field goal percentages are both bad, 43.1 and 43.2%. Washington does shoot free throws a lot better. Both teams suck from the 3 line, so their offenses are terrible. So it's going to come down to defense. When we look at defense, and I know Colorado lost their first 2 matchups, but Colorado does have the better defense. They're giving up 66.3 points per game. That's good for 70th in the country. Whereas Washington's giving up 70.2. That's 185th. Like I said, both of these teams suck. I don't like either of these teams. On the defensive end, I think Colorado is a little bit better team. It's really hard to beat a team 3 times. I know that's something you hear a lot of people say, and it's probably annoying to hear it, but it is true. It is very hard to beat a basketball team 3 times in a row. I'm not going to back Colorado, especially when they lost by 10 on the road and 3 at home. But I think they're still favored in this game for a reason. I'd only lean Colorado.
Yeah, this game makes me very uncomfortable. So I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay off of it. I can't. Yeah, it's just very uncomfortable. I don't want to back either in this spot. So let's move on to the Big East. This one popping off at 3 p.m. Eastern. We have the Big East first round. Butler Bulldogs 14-17, 6-14 in conference. At St. John's Red Storm 17-14, just 7-13 Big East. Again, this is an at situation. This is one of the 2 St. John's home courts, MSG. So this is our first at, not verse here. By the way, Mike M says first day of Pac-12 tourney early starts over 8-2-1 recent trends. Wow. Says Washington State, Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado fit the mold here. And Leonard Portuno says when college basketball teams face third time, they win again 72% of the time. But says, however, when the team that lost the first 2 is favored the third time, they win 68% of the time.
So like this one, like Colorado.
Yeah. Great job, Mike M. cashing with Davidson. Also, it looks like I just got too cute with Wake here. They're up 40. I mean, it's still 15 minutes left, but they're now up 44-41. Nice job, BJ. Great work. Killing it. Okay, but let's get back to this Butler St. John's spot. Let's get over to the line movement and figure out if there's moves to make here. St. John's opening up at -6.5, now -5.5. Over at Penny, they opened it up later at 6:30 p.m., so it opened up at 5.5. Let's just confirm that BetOnline did open this up at 6.5. That is confirmed. 6.5 down to 5.5. Total-wise here, we have opening up at 145.5, now 142. So we would expect to see the bigger bets on both Butler and the under. Let's see if that is the case. Starting with Butler, it's not the case. 44% of the tickets and 57% of cash on St. John's, but the market's moved a point away from them. And then total-wise, 51% of the tickets and 69% of cash is on the over. So, interesting. Very interesting. Butler comes in off its second straight loss, 78-66 at Xavier on Saturday is 13.5-point dogs. St. John's comes in off its second straight loss, 96-94 at Marquette as 12-point dogs. They played very well, almost pulled off the upset despite 19 turnovers. St. John's beat Butler badly at home, 77-61 earlier in the year, but then they lose at Butler, 68-66 as 1.5-point dogs on February 7th. Take it away, Daby Cab, Big East action, Butler, St. John's. Oh, no, there's number one. We have number one here.
Fuck.
They're in your head, man. They're in your head.
No, we're good, man. I've only cashed that like one time out of 7 shows, so we're good.
Oh, no. There's
All
a
right,
lot of
Butler-
confidence. Some cappers in the chatter have a lot of confidence now after that first mute.
Butler, let's see. They're looking at only putting up 65.3 points per game. That's 329th in the country. Their defense is above average, giving up 67.7, but that's sitting at 1/10. Still just barely above average. They're 234th in effective offense efficiency and 55th in defense efficiency. So way above average there. So Butler can play some defense, but God, they struggle to score. You said it. These teams met twice. St. John's won 77-61 at home, and then Butler won at home 68-66. This arena being at home for St. John's, I know that St. John's against the spread all year hasn't been great, but in this particular matchup, it showed to favor them. Like I said, they won 77-61 in that game. I think that home court's a clear advantage here for just a better offensive team. And when you look at Butler too, you'd think, okay, well, they've got to pick up the slack some places. Well, let's look at their rebounding. This team's only getting 27.5 boards per game. That's 357th in the nation. That's fucking awful. Where you look at St. John's on the other side, they're pulling down 36.7, which is good for 8th. This is St. John's all the way for me or pass.
Yeah, if we think that Butler may have some discomfort at MSG where St. John's won't, remember, if you guys remember, the first time they went into MSG this year, after they played a bunch of games in that much smaller arena, I faded them heavy, and it was a huge success. But maybe this is different, and I'm sort of leaning towards Mally Mal's St. John's first half. I copied and pasted that, Dan. Thank you for sharing that with us. First quarter Atlanta is the bet. Washington playing 4 and 5 tonight, which we almost never see in the NBA. Johnny Gunn says Butler's averaging lower here past 5 games, about 58 points per game. Careful using the full season stats for the totals. I guess I do have interest in St. John's. And
holy shit, it's even lower. That's terrible.
I guess I do have interest in St. John's. The problem is the bigger. Oh no, that's the total. Let me go back to the spread once more. Yeah, I do have interest in St. John's. I wonder if they do need the full game. I have no trust in Butler. No, Troy, I have no conference tournament futures here. I've been keeping everything tight here, at least in college basketball. I should have had Kennesaw State. I was talking all about them, but my bankroll just isn't quite as strong as it's been here over the last little while. So trying to build it back up. So I'm a little hesitant, even though futures are credit for me. But what's keeping you off St. John's here, Cab?
I don't know how else to say it other than, I've explained a lot of the way I cap. I watch it. Fucking probably more college basketball than anyone that most of you guys know. I'm addicted to the shit, but like I don't like to bet teams that I haven't watched a lot. I haven't watched a lot of St. John's this year. I've seen Butler play plenty of times. I haven't watched a lot of St. John's, and tomorrow, Friday, as these games get better and better, that's where I like to put my bets at. That's why I was on Gonzaga against St. Mary's last night. I like the better competition. It's just how I am. I know a lot of people like to find angles in smaller games and smaller conferences. That's just not me.
I think St. John's first half is the look here. I do. I think now at this point in the season, that's going to help them playing on that home floor. Whereas at times I wasn't certain earlier in the year, because you're playing in, the most, I guess Boston would be the most storied, or you could, floor in NBA history, but it's a very storied floor in Madison Square Garden. Okay, I'm going to be on St. John's first half. Let's move on and get back to the Mountain West here. 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Mountain West first round. Air Force 14-17, 5-13 in conference at UNLV. 18-12, but just 7-11 in conference. Nice to hear that, Regis Austin. Great call, Regis, on this first half under in the Syracuse game. Great work. Nice to start out the day with a winner. We're at the Thomas Mack Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. So we have a second at situation playing at UNLV's home floor here. Let's take a look at the line history for this one. We have UNLV opening up at -6.5 at Pinnacle. They're now -5.5 at BetOnline. I believe they opened up at 7.5. Let's take a look. And yes, they opened up at 7.5, but they're only at 6. And it was 6.5 a second ago. It just moved back. Oh no, moved to 6 this morning. Okay. Total wise, this opened up at 135. It's dropped to 132.5. Let's take a look here at the cash flow for this Mountain West spot. On the spread, you have 43% of tickets, now 42, but 55% of the cash on UNLV. But the market's moving away from them. Total-wise, this opened up, this has 52% tickets, 64% cash on the over, but it's dropping points. Wake Forest taking it to Syracuse. I sure capped that wrong, thinking that Boeheim still had it, or Boeheim still had it. That was should not have been on the first half. Should have been on full game. I hate when I get cute and it blows up.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I'm sitting here thinking the same thing.
Air Force comes in off its third straight loss, 63-61 at home to San Jose State. On Saturdays, 1.5-point favorites. UNLV come off its second win in 3 games, 69-67 at Nevada, and overtime on Saturdays, 8.5-point dogs. Very impressive victory. But they just squeaked by Air Force at home, 54-53 on February 24th as 9-point favorites in their lone meeting this year. I was on Air Force in that game confidently. It was a bad spot for UNLV. They seem to be putting it all together right now. In saying that, there's been a pretty legit move towards Air Force. Let's hear what Daby Cab has to say about this spot. Take it away, Air Force, UNLV.
You know, when you look at these, and I always give these quick stats, Air Force, they're putting up 68.8 points per game. They're giving up 66.7. UNLV is putting up 72.3, giving up 70. UNLV's offense, though, they've traveled well this year, which is interesting to say. When they've traveled, they put up over 73 points per game. They're aggressive on the glass. In their last 3 games, they've got 11 offensive boards or more in each of them. I don't think they're going to give Air Force a lot of easy scoring opportunities. They protect the ball well. They don't turn it over. And on the road, Air Force is averaging less than 65 points per game. So they just flat out struggled. And like I said, they don't rebound well. This spot really kind of lines up for UNLV for me. Again, I'm not betting this. I've got 3 bets today, and I'm going to stick with those 3.
I agree with this look to the under. I'm not going to take it now that it's moved 2.5 points. But I do agree with this move on the under. Mal, I'm not. And I like Grambling. And I'd like to back them in certain spots in this tournament. I think this is kind of a tricky start to the conference tournament for them, against a hot shooting Bethune-Cookman team. So I'm on Bethune-Cookman first half, but I plan on backing Grambling throughout this tournament. Mal is going to go up. We're heads up on that first half look. But I plan on backing Grambling throughout this tournament, and I expect Grambling, obviously, to win the game. All right, let's move on to our first final of the day, the Southland Tournament Final. Northwestern State Demons, 22-10, 13-5 in the Southland, versus Texas A&M Corpus Christi Islanders, playing some really good ball, 22-10, 14-4 in conference. We're at the Legacy Center in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Nobody is showing up to these basketball games at the Legacy Center in Lake Charles. I don't know if you've seen any clips of these games, but you're getting a few hundred people in there. Hopefully there'll be more here for tonight's action. Let's take a look at the line history for this one. And move over to the extra games, added games. Here we go. So Texas A&M opening up at -3 at -110. There's been a move towards Northwestern State at some books. No move at Pinnacle. Let's see if there's been a move at BetOnline. BetOnline's gone. No move either. So they've given a 3-cent move to Northwestern State. Let's take a look at the total. This total opened up at 149. It's dropped all the way down to 145. A huge drop to the under. Matty Ice says heavy lean to Texas A&M Corpus Christi. So let's take a look at the cash flow. I'm interested to see what it is here. So you have, in the total, you have 47% of tickets, 58% cash on the over, but we've seen it drop fast. See about the spread. for the spread, 78% of tickets and 83% of cash on Texas A&M, and the line is not moving. That's just screaming to me that Northwestern is live. I, like you guys, was planning on betting Texas A&M Corpus Christi, but with that market move, I simply can't. And then Matty Ice says, hence lean. Yeah, I simply can't. Northwestern State clinched the final, winning their second straight game yesterday, 74-70 over New Orleans at 6.5-point favorites. Texas A&M did the same thing, third straight game, but they won very easily, 80-63 over McNeese. State is 9.5-point favorites. They defeated Northwestern State on the road early in the year, 65-59, and then they beat them again at home, 83-75 as 4.5-point favorites on February 25th. And yet, here we are. They're 3-point favorites. All the money's on Texas A&M, and it's not growing. Is this fishy enough just to stay off? Because now it's Northwestern State or no bet for me. Mike M says Northwestern State's been getting there all season for me. No reason to change it now. Northwestern State first half plus 1.5 money line says think they can even win outright. Wow, this is wild. Let's see what Daby Cab has to say. Texas A&M Corpus Christi Islanders trying to get into the dance against Northwestern State Demons.
Yeah. When you look at these two teams, I mean, I was leaning Texas A&M also, but I'm not betting a game like this, especially with the line movement. Northwestern State, they're averaging 74.8 points per game. Their defense is allowing 72 points per game, so they struggle a little bit there. They're going to want to push the pace, but in this game, defense is going to be important. So that's why when I'm looking at this Texas A&M Corpus Christi team, because they're putting up 80 points, or they put up 80 points against McNeese State in their last game. And won by 17 points. I think you said that it was a pretty easy win for them, but they're averaging 80.6 points per game while allowing 72.9. This is just one of those games where I think Corpus Christi won the last game. I think they're going to do the same thing here. Like I said, they're averaging 80.6 points per game, and there's not much defense to be found from Northwestern State. So that's what would scare me against taking that side. I think A&M Corpus Christi still covers the spread here, but I'm not going against that line movement.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't want to sit here and I'm gonna cut it. I don't want to flip just because the market's not moving towards Texas A&M. I don't want to sit here and just make a bet solely based on market move it without any of the X's and O's. JP just says, love Corey Gibson, Northwestern State coach. These kids laid on the line for him. Yeah, I guess Gifted Cartel on Northwestern with the points too. Mally Mal liking that over. Mike M says, keeping on the first half under. It hasn't been getting their last few games. Full game over seems to catch, so the second half over is a good look. Yeah, I guess I should stay off, but I'm going to write it down just to make sure I have enough. I want to have action today, and I've been passing on quite a few of these, so I'm going to just put question marks beside Northwestern right now.
Yeah, that's what the day is the day, but man, I can't wait for tomorrow when some of those teams that have the buys start playing and stuff. That's when the tournaments really start getting fun for me.
No doubt. We got a big week ahead of us. By the way, Sean Pulliam just put in Atlanta first quarter over 27.5 and Atlanta first quarter plus 2.5 and Trey for 20.5. Looks for our guy Sharon. Thank you for sharing that with us. All right, so one of the decisions I knew it was going to take us a little longer for college basketball, but I thought let's cap these ACC games tonight. So we did add them to the schedule. I did not want to go through the show without capping this game. I find this one so fascinating. So let's move on. At ACC second round, Boston College Eagles 16-16, 9-11 in conference at North Carolina Tar Heels 19-12, 11-9 in conference for Greensboro Coliseum. Move over to the line history for this one. And this is North Carolina is as fascinating as a team has been, I think, for some time. We're sitting here where the first time in history since the expansion of 64 teams in 1985 that a preseason number one could miss the NCAA tournament. First time ever. But they're being hammered here. North Carolina opening up at -9.5. They're up to -11.5. Totals, that was at Pinnacle. Totals wise, 138, and it hasn't moved. Let's go back to the spread at Bet Online. So the Pinnacle 9.5 to 11.5, and over at Bet Online, it's gone from 9.5 to 11.5 too. Okay. So let's take a look at the cash flow here. You would expect it to be all over the Tar Heels. Let's see if it is. 36% of the tickets and 59% of the cash. So seems like the sharp action is on North Carolina. This is a big spread for a team that's not getting a lot of trust. 64% of tickets, 68% cash on the over, but the market's not moving towards the over. Wow. Boston College opened the tournament yesterday, defeating Louisville 80-62 as 6-point favorites for their 4th win in 5 games. It was the perfect world. Pete and I cashed our first half plus 3.5 somewhat comfortably. I mean, it ended up being comfortable, but it didn't look good until about 2 or 3 minutes left. And then Ron Crawford cashed his spreadsheet play today on Boston College. So it's the best of all worlds. North Carolina, they finished their regular season with a 62-57 loss at home to Duke as 4.5-point favorites. They faced Boston College once this year. They beat them 72-64 at home as 14-point favorites on January 17th. And here they are as 11.5-point favorites. Take it away, Daby Cab, ACC second round.
There we go. I couldn't help but laugh at what Matty Ice said. I might have been there once or twice in my life, but definitely a life lesson right there. Anyways, moving back into this game, man. Boston College's offense, 315th in the country, only putting up 66.3 points per game. They just flat struggle. You look at North Carolina across the board, outside of threes, they're going to be a better team. And what really is going to hurt Boston College in this game is they're missing post. And North Carolina, one thing that they've done well with Baycott is rebound. They're 6th in the country in rebounding, getting 37 rebounds per game. And that's what really I think people are probably leaning on going with UNC here, is because you don't really have to trust Love or any of those guys to hit threes if you're going to be getting your points in the paint with Baycott, and if you're going to be dominating the boards. So in this, we've talked about motivation for how many weeks with this team? Like, God damn, I feel like every game we talk about, it's like, oh, this is the one where they got to turn it on. Well, this is fucking it. I mean, this really is it. It's either now or never. And I don't think this team deserves to be in the tournament personally, but they could prove me wrong here in this tournament. So this is their chance. It's now or never. I'd look North Carolina or pass. That being said, I'm not laying 11 points with this team. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, I agree. I just can't do it either. So I guess it's a stay off here. Billy Friedrich says Boston College 9-7 against the spread away from home this season. Cashman 19 says North Carolina rebounding 1st in the ACC, 7th in the country versus Boston College 11th in the ACC, 264th in the country. Look, I get why the market's moving towards North Carolina, but I'm not going to myself, unfortunately, which is something I was hoping that we would do. So I'm off that spot. Let's move on to another final here. The Patriot League Championship. Let's see who will be in the dance. Lafayette Leopards, 11-22, just 7-11 in conference, fresh off of a double overtime victory over American. Up against Colgate, mighty Colgate, 17-1 in conference, 25-8 on the season. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Again, the Patriot League final here, and we have a huge favorite in Colgate. Huge. Colgate opening up at Pinnacle -14, and it hasn't moved. Let's go over to Bet Online here. I don't know. At Bet Online, they opened up at 14.5. They were at 13.5 at 11:30, but they've come back a half point. Totals wise, this opened up at 135.5. It's now 134.5. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. Totals wise, 55% of tickets and 86% of cash is on the over. All these over bets, and yet the totals dropped a point. That's a little confusing. Let's get over to the side here, the spread, I should say. The spread, you have 20% of the tickets on Lafayette and 76% of the cash. There's a lot of pressure here, and Lafayette played Colgate very tough. Just back on the 22nd of February, they lost 73-69. Colgate shot 52.9% from three, while Lafayette only shot 27.6%, and they almost won. Colgate was 9-point favorites. Take it away for us here. The Patriot League Championship final. Could we see an 11-22 team that's 7-11 in conference in the dance, Cabby, or could they cover here? Take it away.
So I think you touched on it. Do they win the game? I don't think so. Obviously, I don't think so. But could they cover here? I mean, what are they playing for? They're playing for fucking everything. This game is everything. Everything else that's happened this season doesn't fucking matter. All that matters is today for this team. That's it. And that's what, if I'm the coach, if I'm the people on the team, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, guys, we're here. We got here. It doesn't matter how we got here, but we're here. So let's fucking finish this thing. And you look at them, man. Obviously, Colgate has the ability to blow the doors off here. But like you said, they played it close last game. Lafayette took them down to the wire a couple games ago. They're also 3-1. ATS is a double-digit underdog here. And Colgate's only 7-7 ATS at home. Like I said, man, with the ticket to the dance on the line, 13.5 points is way too many fucking points for me. I would only be on Lafayette or pass on this one. And I can go into it a little more if you want, but that for me sums it all up right there.
I agree with that. And my only thought is this is sort of the range. It's just before the range where I take full games. This is still, for me, the 8 to 14 points. I like first half. When it gets more than this, I start thinking of full game because I start thinking that you can lose the first half and the benches kind of, if you got a 20-point lead, then the effort kind of slows down a little bit. But add in a little more if you have it, because I'm close to moving on Lafayette.
Yeah, I got you. Sorry, coughing. I muted it, but it's unmuted. So let's see, Lafayette. Let's see, they're shooting a little below average, but they've got a couple people here. They've got a couple players double digits, so they can move the ball around a little bit. And when you look at Colgate, Colgate's had a little bit of regression in their late games. They have been shooting well beyond the arc lately, though, 40.6%. But they're only shooting 65.4% from the free throw line. And that's something that if it's going to be, close at all, there's going to be free throws, and Colgate doesn't shoot free throws well. So that's another thing where they're going to be missing points. It's just too many points here. I just, like I said, it's just too many points.
Yeah. I don't know. God, it's hard for me to say out loud that I'm going to bet the Lafayette Leopards.
Let's see. This doesn't really. Well, here, this will help you. They're 4-0 in their last 4 overall ATS. There you go.
I think they're live to be in this game. I mean, there's no pressure on them whatsoever. All the pressure's on Colgate here. Look, I said this in 2 spots yesterday. I said it in the UNC Wilmington spot against Charleston. I was like, look, all the pressure's on Charleston. UNC Wilmington won outright in the first half. We had them +5. They won outright. Charleston ended up coming back because they're good. But then, I said the same thing against Oral Roberts. Maybe Oral Roberts is just so much better because, look, they went 18-0 in conference play. Maybe they're just so much better than the opposition. So, I went 1-1 with that thought process. Andrew G says first half, then you know what to do. Yeah, if you catch it, I guess take the other side. But I kind of feel like I want to be on first half full game here. It just feels like one of those spots where Lafayette steps up here.
Louisville
Syracuse fighting back, says Jags 8-7. So
Louisville was outright yesterday in that first half too.
Yeah, and I was on a +3. Then they lose by 18. Okay, I'm interested in Lafayette here. Let's move on. We got 2 spots left on the board here.
And I'm going to add.
Put a bow. Oh, and the ads, of course, here. So let's move over to the next spot on the board. We head back to the ACC tournament here. Virginia Tech 19-13, 8-12 in conference at NC State, 22-9, 12-8 in conference, and we are back in Greensboro for this one. Let's set this all up for us here. Let me just move over. Here we go. Let's go. So line history first and foremost. Let's move over there. We have. Oh shit! Sorry, I passed it there. God, sorry about that. Went way past it. Here we go. Virginia Tech opening up as 3-point dogs. They're now 2.5-point dogs. So that's at Pinnacle. Let's see if there's even more of it over at BetOnline. BetOnline opened this up with NC State -3, and now they're -2.5. I find this a little surprising. Let's get over to the cash flow here for this one. We have 50% of the tickets and 70% of the cash on Virginia Tech. I mean, it's just clear, sharp money. is on VTech. 87% of tickets and 96% of cash on the under. 87 and 96 on the under, and the total has dropped 3.5 points. And there was just a 2-point drop at 10:38 a.m. So I guess that's clear. It's hard for me not to want to back NC State, but I guess everybody's just focused on what Virginia Tech did to close out the regular season and then beating Notre Dame 67-64 yesterday to have this spot available. Also, NC State now hasn't played since the 28th of February, losers of 2 straight. The game at Duke was pretty good, but the idea that Virginia Tech, Louisville, Florida State, then Notre Dame, who cares, that they have those wins. And then when we go over to the head-to-head action, they played NC State at home. They lose by 4. And that was their lone meeting this year against NC State. Take it away for us here, Daby Cab. ACC tournament second round, Virginia Tech, NC State.
So you said it on that at the end of that, Notre Dame, Florida State, Louisville, like who gives a fuck? I don't care how many points it's by. I don't care what it is. Those 3 teams, like I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in what you do against better competition. And this is going to be much better competition for them here. You look at this Virginia Tech team, they're above average on the offensive end of the floor. They're putting up 118 they're 118th in the nation, putting up 74.4 points per game. They pull down 33.8 boards. One thing I do like is that they're 28th in assists. They dish out 15.8 assists per game. Ever since Hunter Couture's been back, they've been people have been on them, and I've been paying attention. He's added a lot. He's added 10.8 points per game plus 3.9 boards. So he's important, and I get it. But when you look at the other side, this NC State team, I know they lost 2 straight, but they entered this game 37th in the nation in scoring offense, putting up 78.4 points per game. They're 61st in the nation in rebounding with 37 boards per night. They also move the ball around well, 13 assists a night. This Wolfpack team on the defensive end is a slightly above average, I guess you could say, or right at about average, 187th, allowing 70.3 points per game. So that's kind of one thing that worries me off them. And, Virginia Tech has the advantage because they've already played on this court. That's something we talked about earlier. This is one of those games. They've already played in this building, but it wasn't something to be impressed about. They beat Notre Dame by 3. So that wasn't like a great showing in the court. I think the week off for NC State's going to be good. I think that they're going to be healthy. I think they're going to be reset. And I think they have a lot of options on the offensive end. So I like NC State here. I'm going to go with the 2 games that I add. I'm not going to add this, but I've leaned heavy on NC State. I just haven't bet it. And there's no reason to go against the market.
Yeah, it feels like there's a ton of sharp action on VTech. Troy Torrance says Virginia Tech 2-9 against spread on the road. Also 1-3 against spread in neutral court. Virginia Tech will be crushed on the boards. Defense and rebounding will prevail here.
Absolutely.
Wow. Billy Friedrich saying NC State 8-6 against spread away from home this season, while Virginia Tech 3-12. Wow. Well, I was with you guys. My plan was to back NC State, but I
was going to. Yeah, I haven't bet it yet, and I was going to. I don't think I am though.
But Troy Torrance has no fear. He says NC State high degree of confidence. So I'm going to stay off of this spot. Let's go on to the final spot on the board. This is your perfect DGen special for all of us because it pops off at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. It's also a great spot, of course, for our West Coast brothers and sisters. Big Sky Championship final. It sucks that Eastern Washington's not in this. But North Arizona, is it possible that the Slipper could fit this squad? 12-22, 5-13 in conference. Going up against Montana State, 24-9, 15-3 in conference. We're in Idaho Central Arena in Boise, Idaho. When I'm not going to bother talking about Eastern Washington anymore. When the Groves brothers left, I was so impressed with what they did this year, and for them to get bounced like a bunch of bitches was awful to watch. Northern Arizona here at Pinnacle, they open up at 6.5. They're now plus 7.5. Let's see what BetOnline has done. BetOnline opened this up at Northern Arizona plus 6.5. They're also at 7.5. They got up to 8 though at 9:48 a.m. Let's take a look at where the cash is here for this one. Take a look with the cash. Here we go. So we have on the total 68% of tickets and 82% of cash on the under. 68 and 82 on the under. And this total has gone from 139 all the way down to 134.5. So the book's very cognizant about that sharp money there. Let's see what they do with the spread. Sorry, let me move back up here to the spread. And sorry, just take me a second here. Late game on the board. We have 37% of tickets and 43% of cash is on Montana State. G. Martinez says Montana going to own the paint. Billy Friedrich says Montana State players all look like they were characters in that Arch Rivals video game. I don't know. Sorry. The only video games I play are NBA Jam and the original ice hockey, unfortunately. I don't know what's happened to me. Jags8787 says Montana State or nothing. All right. Here we go. Let's just set a quick table here for you. Northern Arizona has been on this dream run. It's wild. They've been winning basketball, and they've been playing well. I mean, even that loss to Weber State 90-89 overtime, but they beat Eastern Washington 81-80. They beat Montana 83-71, and here they are. Montana State almost didn't get here. The Weber State win 60-58 in double overtime. They almost didn't get here. And I love that spot for teams. When they squeak through a spot, it feels like the pressure's off. But the pressure isn't off because they have to beat Northern Arizona here. And so the pressure is still really on them. And Northern Arizona is still just sitting here playing with the house's money. They played Montana State and almost beat them at Montana State 69-68. They lost badly at home to Montana State 69-54 earlier in the year. But is this a team of destiny? I mean, take it away for us here at Daby Cab, Big Sky Championship Final, Northern Arizona, Montana State.
So shout out to our guy Billy. He just touched on it. Yeah, they've been playing these overtime games. On Tuesday night, it was a double overtime too, and they only won by 2, so they could be a little tired here. But Montana State, they're averaging 74.3 points, while their defense is only giving up 66.5, so they're good on the defensive end. I like their lead scorer, Battle. He's been fun to watch. He's putting up 17.2 points per game, shooting it at a 47.2% clip. On the other side, Northern Arizona, what their problem is, their offense is all right. They put up 73.3 points, but their defense is where they've struggled. They're allowing 74.5 points per game. This team likes to push the pace, so they're going to try and push the pace to offset that defense. But like I said, this defense has just been an issue. And if they want even to have a chance here, the defense is going to have to play better than they've done all year. I know that double overtime is going to take a lot out of Montana State. And I know that, we want to see our Cinderella story in Northern Arizona. I just can't do it here. With a team that's allowing 74.5 points per game, I'm just not going to back them. That defense is just horrible. I would only look Montana State here.
Yeah, so would I. But I don't know if I want to mess with what Northern Arizona is doing right now. Teams get hot, and I'd laugh my ass off if this team could make it into the dance. Mandy Ice says spread should be like more like 4.5, 5.5. Valley Mouse says this is a tricky game here, leaning to the plus 7.5. All right, well, while we think, and Rick J says Northern Arizona money line run it. That'd be, Rick J. If we were in Vegas, partying, drinking heavy, I'd probably join you on that just for a fun, look. But we're not in Vegas, and the stakes are high, and I don't know if I can do it. Let's hear about Daby Cab's additions, and then we can decide some of the stuff that we're kind of figuring out whether we're going to pull the trigger on. We can make decisions there. Daby Cab, take it away. What are your additions, my man?
Yeah, so the first one I wanted to talk about this Ohio State Wisconsin game, which is probably a pretty, people are probably pretty interested in this game. First off, what I want to touch on with Ohio State, and are you going to be able to pull up the numbers on these, or are we?
Yeah, I got them ready to go.
Oh, okay, awesome. Do you want to do those first then?
Sure. At Pinnacle, Ohio State opened as 1-point favorites. They got up to 2.5 points a couple times. Initially, the money was on them pretty immediately. So, they got up to 2.5 and 9:20 last night. and then back to 1 again this morning, then back to 2.5 again at 12:09 p.m. They're sitting at 2 right now, and the 2 is pretty juiced. So it's probably 2.5 at some books. We're talking penny right now. Or sorry, Bet Online right now. The total opened up at 132.5 and is now at 130.5. So you would think that the money here would then be on the under and on Ohio State. So let's see if that is the case. This one pops off at 6:30 p.m. We have 59% of the tickets and 74% of the cash on Ohio State. So that makes sense. And then let's go over to the total here and see if that is also on the under as well. We have, yes, it is 44% of tickets and 76% of the cash. So sharp money on both Ohio State and the under. Take it away.
All right, this is going to be a tough one to look at. This Ohio State team, they got the big win over Illinois and Maryland to bounce back after the horrible losing streak that they were having. But then they turned around and lost again to Michigan State. Whereas Wisconsin, this is it for them. That they have to win this game. They have to win. They have to make some noise in this tournament if they want to have a chance to move forward. You look at this Buckeyes team. I've thought that they were a good team all year. I thought that they have underperformed all year. I thought that they have a lot of talent on their team and just have been a flat out disappointment. Sensabal's been great. Last game, he had 21 points against Michigan State. He led all freshmen in the Big Ten scoring, putting up 16.5 points per game. So just been great. They've got a few other players, but one thing that's very important to mention is Zed Key. He had a season-ending injury. Their best player. Zed Key is Ohio State's best player. I don't know how else to put it other than that. Ohio State still, they've done all right this season. They're ranked 22 and their offense is ranked 22 in efficiency, but losing Zed Key is going to be huge for them here. And when we look at Wisconsin, I know Ohio State, they've been one of the worst teams to bet this year. They lost their best player. Ohio State's only covered the spread 35% of their games this whole season. That's bottom 20 in all of Division I. And with Zed Key out here, I don't think they're gonna all of a sudden get hot. I don't think this is I know a lot of people are kind of thinking that. I don't see Ohio State turning it around. Wisconsin, they have multiple players from Hepburn, Wall, Crowell. They have people who make a difference on this team. And this game is huge for them. This is it. I mean, they either cover or move and win and move on, or they don't. And their season's pretty much done unless they want to play in the NIT. So right here, I got Wisconsin and staff.
Wow. Okay. Let's lock that in for you. Did you want the points or did you want the money line?
Yeah, I'll take the points.
All right. Let's see what we can offer you here. Wisconsin for Daby Cab. You can get a +2.5. +2.5 available at Bovada or Bodog. +2.5 at -110 for Whiskey.
For the full game or the first half?
Oh, you want them first half?
Please. Yes, please.
Thank you for mentioning that. Sorry, my bad. Let's grab you the first half here. And if Wisconsin's played in so many close games and stuff, and things like that, why did you want to focus on the first half and not? You can get a +1 at -110. Why are you focusing on the first half and not the full game?
Man, this is one of those numbers where it's just like anytime a game's around a 2.5 or even a 1.5 spread, I like to go with the first game. My numbers, if you look at my numbers from betting over the past 2-3 years, it's just much more successful in the first half in this situation. That's really just all it is a statistical advantage for me, I guess you can say.
All right, you are locked in. Wisconsin first half +1 at -110. What's the next look that you want to add?
Okay, Oklahoma State game. I'm gonna talk about that one really quick.
Yeah, let's do it. Why don't you set the table and I'll pull up the info.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let me pull up their numbers here. Both of these teams, this is their third game this year. This is a huge rivalry. We're going to touch on that. Oklahoma coming in at 15-16 on the season. Oklahoma State coming in at 17-14. Oklahoma State's a 1.5-point favorite right now. They won their last game against Texas Tech on the road in a hostile environment in Lubbock, 71-68. But before that, they lost 4 games in a row. They lost to Baylor, Kansas State, West Virginia, TCU. Again, that's the grind of the Big 12. You look at Oklahoma coming off a big win against TCU, 74-60, and I was on the other side of that. Bad read on my part. But, they have lost 3 of their last 5 games, And this Oklahoma team, only putting up 68.3 points per game, just struggles to score. One thing they do is they shoot at a pretty high clip. They're shooting at a 46.5% clip, which is 65 in the nation. They just run a really slow pace. But where I think this is going to get there's going to be an advantage, and we've seen it in the first two matchups, is on the boards. I think Oklahoma State have advantage on the boards. They're going to have advantage in the paint the whole game. I know Oklahoma State has kind of, struggled. They're 0-4 ATS their last 4 neutral site games. And they're only 1-5 ATS their last 6 games overall. Ever since they lost their second Anderson, their second leading scorer, they have not looked the same. This team has just not looked good since they lost Anderson. But I think that win against Tech on the road was huge, and I think they're going to ride that momentum here, and I think they're going to beat Oklahoma again for a third time this season. I know I talk about how hard I think it is, but I think Oklahoma State does it here. I got Oklahoma State full game on this one.
Interesting here because the market has moved briskly towards Oklahoma State from +1.5 to -1.5. The reason why I find that interesting is because the big bets on Oklahoma, 45% of the tickets, 72% of the cash. So the books are opening up their arms to more Oklahoma cash now. So Oklahoma State, that's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating that that's the situation. Let's take a look at the total here. This total opened up at 135.5. It's now at 135. It's dropped a half point at BetOnline. You have 67% of tickets, 82% of cash on that under, and the market doesn't seem to be moving there. Let's grab in the heavy lean to the Boomer Sooner, says Matty Ice. Let's take a look at what we can offer you here in this one. So full game for Daby Cab. Let's get this up here. This one pops off at 9 p.m. We can get you Oklahoma State -1 at -108.
I'll take that.
Do you want to look at the money line? Maybe we'll just do our due diligence there. If it's -1 at -108, then we can get you the money line. It's up to you. -117 on the money line, or -1 at -108.
-108. I'll take the -1.
Okay, so Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Oklahoma definitely has a better coach, Matty. Matty Ice touched on that.
Right.
I just don't think Oklahoma is a very good team. This is. I can look at all the numbers, and I know Oklahoma has better numbers, better free throw percentage, better 3-point percentage. They have better numbers in certain categories than Oklahoma State, but this is coming down to me where I've watched these teams play. I think Oklahoma State's a better basketball team. That's it.
Harry Pappas, I'm not sure what info you are asking about, but if it's the line history, I'm using the line history from Pinnacle. I'm pretty hesitant about promoting some companies here. I really only want to promote Pub Sports Radio. So if you want to know, hit me on DM on Twitter. And then, but you guys know I've used Sports Insights. I did for a year. We're thinking of not because it's expensive, and so I'm using the Action Network because it's the same company here, and it's a tenth of the price. So I'm using that here. Look at that, Mike M. A pimp slap play of the day, Oklahoma State money line.
Let's go. I love that. I feel like I had nobody with me there, but I'll take Mike M on my side. I'll always take that.
All right. Okay, let's review all action in college basketball, then do a quick review of other spots, then put a bow on this. First off, though, the taint play of the day is in. It's South Carolina +6.5. That is taint. South Carolina +6.5. So I'm going to take a closer look at that South Carolina spot as soon as this show ends. But we have South Carolina +6.5 for Matty Ice. I'm down 150 already today. Unfortunately, I took a Wake first half. It's tied 74-74 with 28 seconds left right now, but they lost the first half 35-33. Cab gets his card started with Colorado State -1.5 at -120. Oh, did you tweet out those other bets that you added?
Yes, I think Wisconsin's the only one that's not on it.
Oh, Wisconsin's not on. Okay, what did you get Oklahoma State at then? I should give you that.
Hold on,
line.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay, yeah.
-108. So there you go. That works.
-1 at -108. Spreadsheet. Sorry, I totally forgot I forgot that we were on the corner of spreadsheet and thank you, Ron. My bad. The corner of Spreadsheet and Taint Boulevard on South Carolina. All right, let's review action again. Sorry. So we know that it all starts off with Daby Cab on Colorado State -1.5, -120. I think it's a double up spot for me on the Pitt Panthers here. But maybe it's best for me to focus on full game. That game pops off in 24 minutes, so I'm not going to have a lot of time to make that decision. Wow, Matt Pollen says, saw Q's at +1,000 with 10 minutes left. There's a Fowlish Hound in the house. What up, Fowlish? I'm going to be on Bethune-Cookman first half. We stayed off Colorado, Washington Huskies. I'm going to be on St. John's first half. We stayed off Air Force, UNLV. I have some interest in Northwestern. I think I've got enough. I do have enough. I'm going to let Northwestern go. We're off of Boston College, North Carolina, but I'm going to be on the Lafayette Leopards. And I think I'm going first half and full game here. I really do. If I do that, I probably, just for you guys to know, if I do that, I probably drop from 150 to 125 on those two bets. Just for you guys to know. Virginia Tech, NC State, I stayed off. Northern Arizona, Montana State, I stayed off. Cabs also on Wisconsin, first half +1 on Oklahoma State, full game -1. Pimp slap play of the day is Oklahoma State money line. And Mike M off a 3-0 start. Attaboy, Mike. Beautiful, beautiful work here. And wow, look at that. What a big shot by Wake. What a big shot by Davian Williamson. Tyree Appleby, though, also. Ron Crawford also liking Oklahoma State, too. So you're in good business there, Daby Cab.
Yeah.
Let's just quickly review NHL. Look, I'm on one spot. Jets -1 at +122. And I'm pretty comfortable and confident with it. Then in NBA, the action is this. We have, move over here, sorry, from our guys, Darryl and LJ. The big story is their plays of the day are going heads up against each other. But LJ's on the Wizards first quarter +1 and the full game over 235.5 in Atlanta, Washington. Darryl's interested in that first quarter under 161. And we've had Dan say that fourth game in 5 nights that the play is for the Hawks first quarter. So I'm going to look into that as well from Dan Kelly. Thank you for sharing that with us, Dan. Then the next spot on the board here, Jeremy Grant over 2.5 threes at +140 from our guy Picks from Dave. That's at FanDuel. I'm going to move on the under in Portland, Boston. Darryl's on the Celtics first half -6. Astute Chaos is on the first half over and 110.5, 111, 1 at -108, -1 +100 in Cleveland, Miami. Then Mike M is tripling up on overs in Dallas, New Orleans. First half, Dallas team total over 60. First half over 119.5 and over 233.5. Darryl's on BI points, rebounds, assists over 35.5. And I'm going to move on the Pelicans. Darryl's on the Bulls first quarter +3 and the first quarter at +175. The first quarter +3s, I don't give a fucking shit what the spread is play today. And the Trill OG play today is on the Nuggets first quarter -2.5. So it's Trill going up against I don't give a fucking shit. Wild. Then we have LJ on the first quarter over 59.5 in Oklahoma City, Phoenix. He's also on Booker over 26.5 points, 8 and over 11.5 rebounds in the parlay. Booker over 26.5 points, 8 and over 11.5 rebounds, and Durant over a half block. That's a +363. Darryl is on Puddle, over 13.5 points and -112. LJ is on the Raptors first quarter under 59.5. Sorry, that's the Raptors Clippers first quarter under 59.5. And that is our show for today. Thank you to our guests, LJ from H-Town. It's Darryl, baby, and Dabra Cadabra. And thank you to all of you guys, Mally, Mal, Jarek, White, Rick J, Real Deal Prime, Viper MB, North Ender, Bo Jackson, Maddie Ice. Says Wake Forest live bet, cash that. Beautiful work. Beautiful work. Andrew G, Harold Williams, Brian Watson, Matt Pollins, Ron Crawford, Coin, Rodney M, The Fowlish Hound, Bama Boy, AOD, Billy Friedrich, Sharon Pulliam, Wig Farm, Johnny K, G Martinez, Harry Pappas. We have nothing without you guys. Thank you so much. Johnny Guns, Millsy, Dom Play. Thank you guys so much. Real Deal Prime, North Ender, Rocco Rogers, Michael Buelna. Thank you. Gifted Cartel. Thank you guys so much. We truly have nothing without you. Cashman 19. Namin.
Speaking of, he hit me up. He wanted in on the dinner. Him and his wife, Cashman. Shout out to them.
Oh, beautiful.
And bring that up. There's basically no spots left. But if you're going to be in San Antonio on Sunday, get a hold of me now. Because if you want to be in that dinner, I'll find a way to make it work. But you got to get a hold of me now, basically.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Daby Cab, could you please put a bow on our show and let's us into the future?
Man, you guys in the chat, I'm telling you, this last year, I've been doing this for about a year now. You guys are the only reason I do it, man. Coming out here to kick it with you guys. Nasty Nate, Cashman, Naaman, Miss Hound, can't wait. Fucking Damo, did I say that right? All you guys, Real Deal, Mally Mal. It's a fucking family. And I'm thankful for you guys. Jimmy, I'm thankful to do this with you. I'm thankful for Pub Sports Radio, and I'm ready to make some fucking money. So let's get out of here, get that cash, and fucking leche los motherfucking bookmakers, baby.
Let's go.